Hey, Silver. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, hey, Vogue.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Hey, Cake Baby.
You already summoned one of John's fans. White vibes down there.
Oh. Yeah, this is definitely
Hello.
working. Vogue,
Hi, I just
hey.
wanted to say, I wanted to pop up and say a really quick hello because I feel like I see you everywhere and I'm like, ah!
I know, right?
I know I see you and I'm like, oh my God, it's you.
Yeah.
Hi, Silver, by the way.
Hello.
So, Vogue, do you like my bingo card?
I think I've seen this one before. Maybe from you or I can't even read it properly, to be honest. Can I have a look? Yeah, my vision's not honing in.
It's got the usual, black on
Oh,
black
yeah, yeah.
crime, all lives matter. I have black
Oh,
friends, get over it.
oh, yeah, the tokenizing and all that crap. Yeah.
Reverse racism.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some wild lives lately, to be honest. I saw one tonight which was not going so well. I think
Yeah.
it's great to have these conversations, but as long as it's moderated correctly and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I see some wild stuff sometimes. I'm just like, maybe not the way to handle stuff, but okay. Not
Yeah.
you, melanated.
I
I'm
know.
talking about
Yeah.
something. I
Yeah.
just
I
wanted
think
to.
that you really have to, it really depends on where people are at,
Mm-hmm.
and then how you respond, you adjust accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can't have the same response for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Totally get that. I do have to pop into another live though. So I really was just popping up to say a quick hello and I love you.
Oh, okay. Hello and love you too.
Okay. Bye guys. Have a good live.
Bye bye.
Oh, I just sent it to you, Grammy, and you're up here.
I'm here. Never mind.
Yeah, this is definitely much better.
Let's go, everybody. Tap the screen. I got my bingo daubers ready. I got my trinkets out. I got my grandma's good luck charms. Let's go. Tap, tap, tap.
Yay, we finally get a Rexy sighting.
Everybody, make sure you go follow Big Okra. Ah! Big Orca, not Okra. Hashtag Big Okra. If you see an account called Big Okra, it's not me.
What's Vasco here to deny now? Deny
Yeah, I'm
racism,
scrolling up
white
to see.
supremacy, fragility, white fragility, everything.
Yeah, he popped in here quick, and I was like, there's John's fan. He's already in here.
What's going on, Vasco?
So does Vasco have Does he use some of these talking points?
Oh yeah, I'm almost sure, 100% sure he has. Yeah.
Be honest with us. How many of these little squares do you utilize there, Vasco?
Out of those 25,
Because I'm pretty sure he's given us like a whole card bingo at least once.
me too.
Probably a couple few. Kidney stones? Oh no, Rexy, I'm so sorry.
When
I
did
don't.
that happen? You don't even call me? Yeah, okay.
Oh, you can take a screenshot, Trippy.
That sucks, Rexy. They told
Yeah.
me to drink lemonade, specifically country time lemonade. And if you make it like a little stronger than it says, like I think it says one big capful for like a gallon, or maybe it's a half gallon. But if you do like 1.5, so it's really kind of tart, that's going to make it like work better. Oh, well, that's different then.
Yeah.
So, Rexy, you know, when we start getting older and we try to go back and do like, you know, exercises and stuff that we did when we were younger, it happens.
You got special stones. That's because you're a special person, Rexy.
Oh,
Do you remember like when we were kids and we can just do so many jumping jacks and was so excited, and then now it's just like, ugh.
Not even kids. I remember, well, I mean, I guess I would have been a kid. I remember being like 7.5, 8 months pregnant and moving like my queen size bed from the upstairs, not the main level, but like the upstairs through the main level into the basement, like just like by myself. 7 months pregnant. Like I couldn't even move it. I couldn't even scoot it over 3 inches at this point in my life, let alone move it.
Oh, and we have a new guest.
Quality comes first.
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
Flavor from the essences of pineapple and
I
vanilla.
just got in, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You might have to, is that a TV in your background?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
You
I'm
might have
sorry.
to turn that down a little bit because it'll cut out the
I
sound.
muted it. I muted it. No, so I don't know what the conversation's
go ahead.
about.
What brings you up to the panel today, Bob?
I guess I got a request, and so I came up, but I don't know what the conversation's about.
Oh, I see.
What's your thoughts on the background?
On the background,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Do you
Can
say
you-
any of these?
Pardon?
Do you say any of the words that are quoted?
Some of those talking points, can you read them? Like,
No. My eyes aren't that good. I'd have
I'll
to get
read,
a
I'll read
magnifying
a couple
glass.
out to you. How's that? I'll read a couple out,
Yeah.
and you can let us know if you've ever said any of these things. Okay? So I'll read like if I say one that you've said, just go ahead and say yep, okay. You're not like other black people.
No.
You're so well spoken.
No.
Make America great again.
Yeah, I like that saying.
Okay, so there's one. Mark that N62 or whatever. I don't know. Somebody pick some bingo numbers. I'm gonna get some bingo numbers. That's reverse racism right there.
No.
No, I can't read that one. I've got a crack in my screen. What's that say? I'm part Native American. I can't be racist.
No.
Don't commit crimes and you won't get shot.
No.
when you call out racism or talk about racism, that's racist.
No.
I worked hard for everything I have. I don't have any privilege.
I never used that term before. I've said I've worked hard before for everything I have, and I have, but I never used the
What about, well, black on black crime?
what about it?
Have you ever talked about it to people and been like,
No.
black
I
on
hear
black crime this or anything like that?
I hear that term all the time, but I never discuss it.
What about, I'm not racist. I've dated a black person before.
No.
Okay. Have you heard other people say that?
Not really.
Okay. What's it? I want to tan. Oh, I want to tan until I'm as dark as you.
No. That's stupid.
What about my ancestors didn't own slaves?
No.
I can't read the next one. Free, something free. I'm not, oh, it's the free space. I see. I'm not racist, but like, have you ever heard somebody say that? They get ready to tell a joke. I'm not racist, but, and then they tell the joke anyway.
I've heard them.
Kind of like,
yeah.
kind of like when somebody says, I don't normally kiss on the first date, and then they take old Jim Bob home. Right. What about, can't read that one either. That POC, POC only got here because of affirmative action. If it wasn't for affirmative action, they wouldn't be where they're at.
Oh no.
What about all lives
I
matter?
don't know anybody. Huh?
All lives matter.
Yeah, I've never said it, but I've heard it. I've never had the need to say it because I never had those conversations. But I
Because of
hear it.
why? You've never
I hear it
what?
all the time. Pardon?
Because of why you've never said it?
Because I never had those discussions with anyone. Nobody my that I associate with ever says it. I hear it on the news all the time, or I hear it on television. I hear it, but that's
But you don't have these conversations, so you don't
No,
hear it.
no.
Okay. What about telling people to get over it? Slavery was a long time ago. Get over it. Jim Crow was a long time ago. Get over it. There's famous black people who make millions of dollars. Get over it. You heard that before?
no. Well, I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it, but not in my. I hear it on the this type of stuff. Where they'll say it, and never on.
Okay.
On
This type of stuff. Okay. What about, you ever heard somebody say, I have black friends. I have black friends.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Do you say that?
No.
Oh, okay. What about, why isn't there a White History Month?
Well, I've heard that before.
Have you said it?
No,
What about telling somebody to go back to Africa?
that's bizarre.
Huh?
That's bizarre.
People say it. You've never heard somebody say
People say a
that?
lot. People say a lot of things.
I
but,
just heard somebody tell a bunch of people to go back to where they
course.
came from just
I've
this morning.
heard, I've gone at work. I've heard one guy. Yeah, that's right.
What about
Yeah, go ahead.
what about when people say, "Oh, you're just playing the race card.
No,
Stop playing the race card."
no.
Or they say things like, "Well, my grandparents were immigrants." Or the Irish were persecuted too. The Irish were slaves too. You've heard that, right?
Oh, that is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think they were, weren't they?
No, they weren't.
Well,
They were never slaves.
They were
No.
indentured slaves.
No, they were not indentured slaves. They were indentured servants. They got paid for what they did, and then they were free afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Their families
Okay.
were
Wrong-
not
wrong
enslaved and bought and
terminology.
sold.
Okay.
No, they're
Wrong
very
terminology.
different. They're very different things,
Yeah,
sir.
very good. You're right.
What
You're right.
about why does everything have to be about race? Or why can't I be proud of being white?
Yeah. Never.
Yeah. And then here's my personal favorite one is when people say, I don't see color. Have you heard people say that before?
Oh yeah. That I heard.
Or parents who teach their kids to not see color, who teach them that everybody's the same and we're all equal.
Oh yeah. I've heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the
That's what
point?
this conversation's about. All of those things.
Okay, so now,
And how harmful every single one of the comments on that background are.
okay, okay, so some of them, what's the alternative? Is there an alternative to any of those comments?
What do you mean? Give me an
I teach
example.
my kids.
In other words, so if you don't say those comments on any one of these,
Sir, we're going to go ahead and mute you till it's your turn. Okay, thank you. Till it's your turn, okay?
okay.
What were you saying, Bob? Give me an
Oh,
example.
I'm sorry. Now I lost my train of thought. I
Of
mean,
like
what's the
one that you
alternative?
think there might be another side of.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, but what's the alternative to all those statements? I mean, there must be
Well,
another.
the alternative to a lot of these statements.
Yeah. So
would
what?
be
If you don't say any of those things, what should you say or shouldn't say?
what you should do and what you should say
Yeah, that's-
is you should listen.
Yeah.
You should listen when Black people speak and other racial minorities speak. You shouldn't overspeak them. You shouldn't interrupt them. You shouldn't tell them that they're wrong.
Well,
You
who
shouldn't
does
tell
that?
them that you shouldn't say that you don't see color, because you clearly do see color.
Well, everybody
You
sees
should
color.
correct. That's why it's stupid when people say that they don't see it, because everybody sees it. It's literally the first thing that you notice about a person,
But the
and the
key
very
word on
first
that
thing
is-
that you're going to
yeah,
tell
but
the police when they ask for a description.
Yes,
So
but-
when people say that they don't see color, it's kind of dumb. What you should do is listen. That's what you should do. Listen
you
and
can't
not
speak.
be argumentative and not say things like all lives matter.
You gotta let
That's
Bob
what you
talk,
should do.
Grammy.
Yeah,
Grammy,
yeah,
you
but
gotta let Bob
Well,
talk
he
a
asked
little.
a question, John. I was answering his question.
I know.
That's all I was doing.
Okay. Hello.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oh,
It's
I'm
my
sorry.
turn.
It just went all blank. No, I mean, some of them are just kind of stupid. I mean, realistically, I mean, I guess maybe somebody says it, or I just personally never heard any of those that I mentioned no to. I mean, I guess I could say some, but because, you know, but I know you're going to chastise me if I say it, so I wouldn't even bother saying it. So, you know, that's
I just
the
want to
problem. You
clarify
have-
really
don't
quick.
have a
You said you wouldn't
conversation
say it.
unless
You
it's
said
all
you wouldn't
one-sided.
say it. I just want to clarify really quickly. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You just said that you wouldn't say it because you would get chastised, right?
yeah, because
But
what your
not,
opinion
but
is,
not, but what you didn't say was that you wouldn't say it because it's wrong. See,
No, it's
I
not.
wouldn't say,
How
and
can it be
Silver
wrong
wouldn't
if it's
say,
true?
and John
Yeah, but
wouldn't
wait.
say those things because they're wrong.
no, but how can it be wrong if it's
Not
true?
because we would get chastised, but because
but
they're
why-
wrong.
Okay, but how can it be wrong if it's true?
So let's talk about that, Bob.
Oh,
God.
Let's pick one.
I'll pick
one that
mine.
you
I'll
think
pick
is
mine.
true.
No, let me pick mine.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
pick
what I'm
mine.
saying. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll tell you what mine that. How can this be wrong? My son played football.
Pick one and she'll tell you how.
Yeah, well, I'm going to explain, and you'll know which one it is. My son played football, and his best friend is black. And
Oh, God. So you're, okay,
well,
there's
let me
one.
see. Here's what I'm
Wait,
saying. You're
Robert,
going to be cast. You
I'd
delve in.
really like him to
Oh,
finish
God,
that
forget
story.
it. Never
'cause I'd
mind.
like to-
Never mind.
No, please,
You don't let
Bob.
me finish.
I'm here for your story because I think I know exactly where you're going.
Where am I going? Tell me where I'm going.
So
You tell me.
your
You know me
son
so well.
has a black friend, correct?
Right,
That he
right.
plays sports with, and they're really close, and they're
Right.
buddy, and they
Right.
chill together,
Right.
right? You know, they probably hang out at each other's house, and
Right.
they're really cool friends.
You're so far. You're 100% right, but you're not.
Right, and that's why I just said I wanted to make sure I understood, you know, where
Okay,
you
but
were.
can I finish
Now,
my
please
story?
Keep going.
Can I
Yes,
finish my
please.
story so you'll have a better perception of what I'm talking about?
Perfect.
Okay, so he played football with him. One day he comes home and says, "Dad, Sammy's getting thrown out of his house." And he's sixth grade. So I go over, and all his shit's thrown out onto the street. And I grabbed his bag just before the garbage trucks came, and I grabbed his stuff, and we brought him home. Well, to make a long story short, that was sixth grade. He stayed with us, and his parents, we loved his parents, but he was living with someone else to stay because he was in a school district that wasn't so great, and he moved into a great school district by living in this house. But there was a fallout. And to make a long story short, he lived with us from sixth grade until he graduated from Yale. And so I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was, I mean, other than the fact that if he was white or green or purple or red, I would have grabbed the shit and brought it home. But he just happened to be with us, and his parents, it was kind of a weird situation because his parents gave up the right, and so he could have a better schooling, and which was really nice of them, but she basically gave up his rights. So he lived in a good area so he could go to a good school, and he is smarter than hell. He's 4.0 in college, 4.1. So, you know, I used to laugh at him and say, look, and you'll probably take offense to this, but when you have a family member, you know, I'd say, the only reason you're here is to make sure my kids are smart too. And it was, that's a joke, but he didn't mind. I didn't mind. I loved the kid, you know, so, I mean, it's not like, you know, this is bad. So this is why I say, how could that be wrong if I said, yeah, I raised a black kid? I don't know why.
So good. And I appreciate that story. That gives us a lot of insight into where you're coming from on this. And I appreciate you sharing that. And so your question is, and there is no problem with you helping a child. There is some other stuff wrong with
saying I did.
Right. Or what have you, you know, and or somebody. Okay. So when we back up to the main point of why, no, let me finish, please. I let you finish that whole thing. Please don't.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And so when we look at why somebody's saying that I have a black friend or I have a family member who is part of the black community, the reason we say that that's bad is because we know that because it's not having a friend in the black community that's bad. It's the idea that when you come into this space to talk about how you're not racist or you don't do racist things, and you try to tell somebody that you can't be racist because you have a black friend.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And so we know that throughout history, there are lots of racist people who have married somebody from the black community, who have children who are, you know, not white. And so we know all of that. And because all of that, when somebody comes in and tries to tell us that they can't be racist, or they tell us, well, I have a black friend, so I'm just fine. How do you can't even take that serious, right?
Can I speak now?
If you're married, if I married a black woman, would I be racist still?
So here's the thing.
still could be
There
racist.
are, hold on, please hold on. Hold on. So yes, absolutely yes. We know that Thomas Jefferson did. We know that throughout history, when we look at some of these card-carrying group members, that they do in fact have spouses that are from the black community. And so having a black spouse or having children that would then be biracial does not mean that you cannot be racist.
Man, shit, that's a fact. Now you got to understand, a lot of the plantation owners had kids by a lot of their oppressed people. Hold on, let me finish, brother. You had your chance. They would take their children and put them right back out there in the fields with the rest. Someone would put them in the house, someone would put them back out in the field. So by you having a black lover or a wife doesn't mean you don't have that mindset. Not at all. And see, in the way you speak as like a privileged person, and you speak like it's coming from a place of guilt that you did that to make yourself feel good about what you've done. Get the guilt off of you. You know, and one of the biggest mistakes, he meant well. Vicente Guerrero, he was the first black president of Mexico, and probably the second president. In my opinion, he was the first president because I have my reason for that because I'm a student of history. But one of the first things he did was outlaw race. You could not identify yourself as a race. And to me, that's the worst form of racism ever, for me to deny who I am. And what happened, majority of the blacks who was during there bred out because of that, because they could not identify themselves. They could not establish no community. And there's nothing wrong with white tea people. I say white tea people because TikTok. Establishing their community. There's nothing wrong with Asians establishing their community. There's nothing wrong with black or whoever want to establish their community. If they want to establish a community, it's the hate is the problem. It's nothing wrong with how you feeling proud of who you is. It's the hate.
Can I ask you a question?
So never deny nobody who they are or what they are. Never. Let them have their pride.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can.
Okay. If you married a white woman, okay, would you think she was racist? Would you marry a racist?
I've dated one, but she was a reverse racist. She hated it. She disliked her own. She didn't want me talking to her. That's why I left her. Because I questioned then, was our relationship based on how we felt for each other, or she was looking for animosity from her community.
But you
So I had to question that. You say what?
You think she was racist towards black? You said she was
No, she was racist towards our own.
Which was white or?
I just told you she was white, so that her own would be white.
Okay, that's weird.
I know it's weird. And see, and I come to find out, I dug a little deeper because I understand why a lot of people do that. And come to find out, a family member of hers had SA her. I don't know if you know what that means, what it stands for, but SA her. I know some of the women probably do. And she had animosity towards white people, white men in general after that. And so I realized that's probably her motivation for dating me. And see, you got to be careful about stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I think if there's quite a few both ways, white women dating black men dating white women, and not all of them I would say are racist because they married a black or married a white. You know, I don't think they would go down that road if they thought that way.
Everybody is racist, bro. Whether you want to admit to it or not. We all love our own.
All right, can we hear from Rose and then we'll go back to this conversation? All right, Rose, go ahead.
Me? Definitely appreciate it. Rose, 35. She, her, or they, them is fine, and I am black. First and foremost, because it has been said quite a few times, and it is itching me. A black person cannot be racist towards a white person. Point blank. Period. Racially bigoted, potentially. Racially prejudiced, no. Based on the fact that we understand that prejudice is a prejudgment, because the amount of times that was just said in the past 2 minutes was absolutely ridiculous. The reality is that, and I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. John, if you could please mute, you have like that, you're clinking or something. I don't know what's going on.
I was muted.
Bob, I think you're very well intentioned.
There's two Johns on the panel. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Brown. John Paul. Bob, I think you're very well intentioned. I think you come from a well-meaning heart, and I think that you are the type of person who wants to see good to all. However, the reality is not understanding your privilege and not understanding how these things can be harmful is inherently racist. First and foremost, we need to understand that. Bob, I just need you to listen to me, because if you honestly do not want to perpetuate racism in any way, one of the biggest things that you can do is actually listen to Black voices and listen to the harm that is caused specifically and directly to us by us. Okay, you need to hear it from us. The reality is that when you come into these these conversations, you need to understand that racism just isn't hate. I do not believe you, and listening to you in these past couple minutes, that you hate Black people, right? I don't believe that. But I do believe that there may be some biases in what you have. I heard you repeat several times in which she gave up her rights, right? You said that several times and you lingered on it as if it were the most horrific thing for her to give up
No,
the
she
rights.
did it. She did it. I was.
Bob, Bob,
I can hear.
Bob, I'm going to affirm what you said because I did hear it. You did say it in relation to her giving up the rights to the child in order for them to get a better education, but you were very repetitive with it, and you chose to be as if it was something that you could not wrap your mind around. It was at that point in time that I realized that the hardships that our community goes through may not be something that you're used to, right? And I do understand that for most of the YT community or collective. However, I do understand that some do understand it, but I understood at that moment that it wasn't something that was understandable for you. I think that in not understanding and having the whole conversation in regards to, well, you know, if we're not going to say certain of these things, then what else should be said, is extremely harmful when the first thing that was told to you is that each and every one of these things are harmful. And your choice is not to say, hey, you know, I don't want to perpetuate racism. I'm being told that these things are harmful. Let me sit here and say, how can I better understand them? I think you want to understand them, but in saying, you know, what else can I say then is not it. Because no matter how you phrase each and every one of these, if you phrase it in a different manner, it's still harmful. So my first question, and I'm sorry because I'm monologuing just a bit. My first question to you is in regards to the ones that you thought, I guess were some sort of necessity, or like you were asking what would be the counter to them. Which one of those were the ones that you thought there was no counter to? Because you were asked that several times and I noticed that you didn't answer it.
He's speaking from a place of privilege. There's no doubt about that.
No, I agree. Bob, which one of these do you think didn't have a counter to them? Which one of these were you asking about?
When I say everybody's racist, let me understand. This is how I view a racist. You have what I call the hate racism, and you have the hate racist, and you have the pride person who's proud of their race, and that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. The Irish, they celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Talked over me. You
No,
never
Bob,
let me
we
finish.
Bob,
You know, I didn't
Bob,
finish. I wanted
Bob,
to say
you
one simple thing and I'll get off.
I need you to breathe. We couldn't hear you. You were on mute. Okay? So please start over because we could
Okay,
not hear
all I
you.
wanted to say was I admired her for doing that. She put her kids before everything else. I think, be honest with you, I think any race, I don't care what it is, would always put their kids before anything else. So that's why I admired her. I didn't, that to me was like the ultimate sacrifice. Who wants to give up their kids for any reason whatsoever? But she did, and that's why I admired her. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. I wasn't disrespecting her. I was admiring her. I mean, how many people would do that? I don't
And
know.
Bob, I don't think there's any problem. Please don't listen to Vasco Vibes down in the comments because he's going to tell you that we're mad at you for helping, that you just shouldn't help people, and that's what we're trying to say. And he's twisting. And in your mind, I think you've twisted a little bit what we've tried to talk to you about too. And I'd like to maybe give it back over to Grammy for that part.
If I could, before you go anywhere, Bob, I want to explain something to you. Can you make me, well, somebody who knows how to make me big. Our country, this country, right, runs on a racial hierarchy. We don't have to like it. We don't have to agree with it. But that's the reality. And I don't know if you can read it because they're small. All right. This is skin color on this side, and this is acceptance on this side. The closer your skin color is to white, the more acceptance that you get. That's white privilege, all right? Essentially, all right? We talk about these conversations. A lot of times you'll hear people say things like, all white people are racist, or black people cannot be racist, all right? And there's a reason for that. In this country, this is the racial hierarchy. The closer to white you are, the more privilege that you have. These people up here.
No. I got this. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but you keep saying that.
You'll have to wait. You'll have to wait till I'm done. You'll have to wait till I'm done. You'll have to wait till I'm done. You'll have to wait till I'm done.
You're gonna wait. Because everybody else did not interrupt you, John.
The closer you are to the top of this pyramid, all right, the closer to white that you are. There's no one above white people on the racial hierarchy that this country runs on. Not saying that this is what we believe, right? But this is what this country runs on, all right? There's nobody above white people to push down on them and oppress them, not based on race, maybe class, ability, lots of other things. But when we're talking about race, there's no one above white people to push down on them, and there's no one below black people for them to push down on. So black people cannot be racist, and really the term racist is reserved for the people at the top that affect everybody below them. So really only white people can be racist. Everyone else is either anti-black, anti-indigenous, anti-Asian. And the reality is that what happens between these groups of people is not the business of white people, all right? Black people can be anti-black to each other. They can be anti-indigenous. Indigenous people can be anti-indigenous to each other. They can be anti-black. They can be anti-Asian. Asian people can be anti-indigenous. They can be anti-black, all right? It's different terminology simply because of the fact that the people on the top, right up here in this circle, they have the ability to oppress everybody, all right? These people underneath, they can push on each other, like push, but not oppress. That's the reality. We don't have to like it. We don't have to accept it. But that is how this country runs.
Well, how's other countries?
I disagree totally. And what you just
So
I have no problem with you disagreeing with me, sir. I have no issue with that.
Hold on, Jeremy. I have a problem because I heard, that's why I came up, because I heard John when he said everybody can be racist. We can go towards you, John, but hold up. Let's finish with Bob first, because that BS, what you're spewing, John, is white supremacist talking point.
Yeah. How do you turn that pyramid upside down?
Right. We don't want a pyramid at all.
Okay, how do you change the pyramid?
Reality,
Yeah, but how do you change it?
education, exactly what we're doing right now, Bob. Education. And
Okay,
here's
but-
the issue, is if you watch these lives long enough, right? Here's the whole issue. If you imagine these lives taking place in a classroom, if we were in a classroom right now, there's certain things that would not occur, right? People would listen to the instructor, they would take their notes, they would go outside of class, they would do their own investigation, and then they would either come to a conclusion that, hey, this is correct, or it's not correct, and then they're going to take another class and find their own path. Whatever it is that they choose to do, correct? That's how it would normally happen. But what happens is you have people who will come up here and they'll say, well, this is all this and that's wrong and this ain't true. And then they spew facts about and misquote, statistics and just all kinds of craziness in argument to the education that they are being given instead of accepting the education. Education is the key for you to learn the truth and then share that truth with all of the other white people that you know. Like,
What am I going to tell them?
you got to shove it in their heads and give it to them in such a way repeatedly and over, because you got to think 25, 35, 45, 55, 65 to 85 years of indoctrination, years of being told these things that are not accurate, these things that are not true. So you've got to break through that indoctrination, get them to see it, and get them to start educating themselves. That is the key.
You just taught supremacy right there, white tea supremacy, with that chart you just used.
Bob, I have a question. So you were asking, what if it's upside down? So I have two questions, really. The first one is, why would you be worried that it's going to be upside down? And my second question is, would you want it to be upside down so that you can experience oppression?
No, I'm trying to figure out, and I could be going down the wrong avenue here, but what if, okay, we know the population it's going to be probably 50-50 brown people. I guess that's how you classify black and browns, so what if it gets to 80% black and brown or whatever? Does that pyramid turn upside down? That's why I was trying to go with this. How do you change the pyramid? But then you said you don't want to change the pyramid. So I was just trying to figure I'm trying to figure out the logic. I think in logic, I guess.
So, Bob, the pyramid wasn't made based on the percentages of people alive. That's not what it was based on. It was based on the sheer fact that there were people, Gomez, de Zerara, and I believe it was two others, who decided to make this hierarchy, who decided to make race and racism on the foundation that they could then use race and racism for profit, while demeaning Black people and thus, as we see it today, other races as well. It is not based on what percentage of America or globally is the majority. If that were the case, then honestly, racism wouldn't exist, because as far as the global minority, that is white tea people.
Well, okay, let me.
But the problem I have with that chart, let me speak now. Come on, give me my chance. I've been sitting back.
John, I think what you're not understanding is they're asking for you to hold on. Bob said that he only had a limited amount of time.
I have a limited amount of time too.
I would drop you, John, because you have no impulse. For a man, you don't have no impulse control.
All right, Bob, go ahead. What do you think about that?
About him talking to John?
No. Kind of where the conversation was before that about the pyramid and everything.
Yeah. I see. I kind of think logical, so I'm trying to figure out, how do you change this? And she says, well, through education. But so if I went to Africa, the pyramid obviously would be just the opposite, wouldn't it be?
No.
Why?
Because it's not.
Based on numbers. Being a minority is not based on numbers. People hear minority and majority, and they assume that it's based on numbers, and it's not. It's about power. If I'm the instructor at the front of the classroom and there's 30 students in front of me, who is the minority?
The 30 students? You're saying power is...
The students are the minority because I have the power. White people have all the power. All they have to do is shed a tear. That's all they have to do. If I go to
Africa, don't they have the power?
One little tear.
They don't. They still oppressed. And see, that's the problem I have with Grammy. The only problem I have with you, Grammy, with your chart, you didn't explain the power.
That's not my chart. That's not my chart. I didn't make that chart. That's not my chart.
I didn't say you made the chart. Let me finish. I said the problem I had with you, you didn't explain the power. You didn't explain why they on top. And you just made it look like, okay, Black people are just naturally supposed to be on the bottom. And see, that came off to me as you teaching supremacy. Yeah, that's how it came off. That's the way
you can disagree with me all you want. All right.
The way you deliver it.
I never said
those
on top,
words. They're at the bottom. Just that's the way it is. That's where you
That's the
explain it.
way
That
it
ain't
is
just
in
the way
this
it is.
country.
It's
Absolutely.
force. We are force at the
100%
bottom.
hands down,
When
sir.
you have the
That
most
is
powerful
the way it
military in
is
the
in this
world, we are
country.
force at the bottom. It's not that we can't rise.
I
We're
never
being
said you
oppressed
couldn't,
by the
sir.
most
You're
powerful
not going to
military in
twist
the
my
world. Tell the
words.
truth. Quit
You can
teaching it like that.
try all day long to twist my words. It will not work. I stand 10 toes down on what I said. That is absolutely the way that this country works. I don't like it. I don't like it any more than anybody else does for a wide variety of reasons. But that is the way this country works. It is.
I would say Grammy, I wouldn't take it to heart. I just looked and I have him blocked, and I
Because
think
I
that's
don't.
probably for a pretty good reason.
And I think everybody that knows me, and even those who don't like
it's not
me,
even
know
it's
better.
not even that. It's very clear what your goal is here. And I could say, if John Paul were to believe that more education would be needed, or if he wanted to, add in, well, this is the way it works, so on and so forth, just as the way that you saw me jump in, that would be an okay thing to do. By first and foremost, no means do I want to cape for you, Grammy, understandably, and I think you understand why. However, the reality is that in saying that, this is teaching white supremacy, by educating people, I think is also very harmful to our people, John Paul, and I think you are actually not doing us a benefit right now. And I think it would be more beneficial if you think that the way that this is being conducted, just to say that, but to say that the education being given is the white supremacy, I don't think that's it. Like, I don't agree with that.
Because when I came in here, I heard him say that all people can be racist. And that is a problem to me because those people cannot be racist, nor can they be prejudiced. They can be bigots, they can be anti, but they cannot be racist nor prejudiced. And when by you need to go. Matter of fact, let me help you. You don't even have to stay.
But before he goes, I just want to be clear. I did hear that also, and I did make sure with the host if it was okay to cover that hierarchy beforehand. So I mean, I don't know. People can disagree with me. It's not going to change how I do things. It's not going to change the way I say things because I know what's going to get in their heads. And that's what my mission is to get in their heads.
When you have white supremacists come in here all the time, he's always coming into black spaces, and I ask him all the time, vibes. He comes in black spaces. He's not only coming in here, he comes in other black spaces. And the first thing I say, why are you always coming in black spaces? Because you never get up in a live. We already know you're a racist, but you always coming in black spaces that I've been in different black spaces that do not say, hey, white tea people. But he constantly comes in black spaces, and you see how he's celebrating what John said. Because John hit this, what John said, they would, the white supremacists like him would take it to another live with African American people, black people, people of color, and say, hey, I heard this black man said that all people can be racist. That is a problem in our community, to have people like that, like John himself. He think he was doing something. That's why I had to come up here, because he think he was doing something when he was speaking. No. Another thing about, okay, Rose, I heard you say that we should try to teach or, talk to. Is nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's something wrong with that. And the reason why I say that, Rose, the reason why I'm saying this is sometimes we are tired of teaching these white tea people. I know I am tired. I don't know if you're not tired, but if we're gonna sit up here and teach these white tea people, they need to pay us for our knowledge, because they are getting something free. If not, let the white tea people talk to the white tea people.
No, my love, I absolutely feel that. Feel heard, understood. Listen, straight from the heart to the heart. And I wasn't saying it in that manner. I do not believe that it is an expectation or should be an expectation of any Black person to necessarily correct or educate, right? But in the same sense, him calling what Granny was saying YT supremacy because of the charter diagram, I thought that was ridiculous. So, and that means I guess I was saying there could have been a correction but honestly, the more I think about it, it's just a waste of breath because he wasn't being genuine. I don't believe he was. That's also why, like, I had originally came up to talk to Bob, and there were several things that I wanted to say, but once John Paul started speaking, I lost it, and that's why the first thing that I had to say was like, no, we can't be racist. So I don't actually think that, I think whatever my intent was or my purpose actually fell on deaf ears anyway. But I do hear you. No, it is tiring. Whether I want to do it or whether I don't, it's tiring.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. At least you heard that. John didn't want to hear it because he just, I don't know what it is, but John just didn't want to hear. And we get a lot of anti-Black people who happen to be Black that would put us in a category. How could you put Black people in a category of being racist? This whole country was built on the back of the slaves of Black people, our ancestors. So how could you sit up here as a Black person, John, if you even though you're muted, you can still hear me? How could you sit up here and say that Black people can be racist in a racist country that was built on capitalism? Capitalism was built on slavery.
Could I? Oh. I was gonna address White Vibes down in the comments because a comment flew by that I think the panel may have missed, and I wanted him to stay around so that I could address it, and then I'd like to boot him from this space if that's okay. He can be my first official block. But somebody asked him. He's a whole white guy, and somebody asked him, "Are you Black?" And he said, "From the waist down." And when he was called out for making the comment and told just how egregious that comment was and how dehumanizing it was, he said, "Get over it. It was just a joke." And so White Vibes down there, he sits in these spaces. We've got the screenshots. You can scroll back up and see it. He comes into these spaces and he listens to, he's a fan of John. He sits in John's space a lot and does this. And so, yeah, exactly. He said, "Lighten up. It was just a joke." And so he is absolutely nothing but a racist. He doesn't care at this point. We see it. He is exactly why we hold these spaces.
And I want to point out to everybody who, I'm sure Jabber's just dying to talk. I'm sorry, Jabber. I just want to point out really quickly to everybody that
No problem.
stereotypes, right? Even the ones that we assume are positive stereotypes are harmful. And they're not just harmful to the people that you are stereotyping. They're also harmful to you because that impacts your mental images as well.
All right, before we move on to Jabber, I just wanted to say, Grammy, I think you need to get your chip because we already got the Get Over It one.
Let me go get my dabbers out.
Exactly.
Where we're at. Tell me what else we got really quick. So we got the what? Get Over It? Where's that at? Get Over It. Okay, so Get Over It. What else did we get?
Technically, we have right next to it, I Have Black Friends.
Oh, yep, we got that.
Yes.
Anything else? Do you think I don't see color? Does that count as the I don't see color or no?
Yeah, I think Bob gave us that with I don't care if they were white, red,
Purple.
didn't say
Yeah.
that.
You said you didn't care if they were white, purple, green, and you listed off all these wild colors.
Huh?
Okay. So
That's
right
all right,
now,
Bob.
here's what we're looking at. Hang on, I'll show you guys where we're at. This is where we're at.
Oh yeah, and reverse racism.
Oh, wait, I forgot the middle one. Hang on. Oh, you said reverse racism?
Yep.
Okay. That's where we're at.
And Bob, didn't you
Getting there.
say that you like the saying "Make America Great Again"?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, I like that saying.
Bob, let me ask you a question, and then you can talk to Grammy and
What's the
I
alternative?
always do this. I always do this.
Hold on, Bob.
So, Bob, when was America great?
Um, I think it was for me personally, and that's how I take it personally, not the overall world or the whole country. I personally
I'm
think
talking
when I
about
was a kid,
only
when I was,
America.
I think when I was,
Hold up, Bob. Hold
you're
up.
asking me.
I'm asking you, and I'm specifically, I can't get it out. Saying when was America great? No other continent.
When I was growing up,
Great for everybody. How old are you, Bob?
75,
75.
So he's a boomer.
What year were you born?
1948.
So you would
So-
have been 10 in 1958.
Yeah.
So if I
But I'm talking when I was like, well, I'm talking like when I was 10 to maybe 15.
So
just have a different
1958 to
perspective of what they're talking.
1965. 1958 to 1965.
Yeah.
so
I got to carry the one there.
I find that to
Oh.
be
Math ain't mathing, buddy.
Yeah.
I find that to be really sad.
Nothing,
Particularly,
nothing,
I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother was born in 41. And even as a light skinned Black woman, there was no time period during those years in which she saw peace or was just left alone to exist. And so I understand that you are answering the questions from a point of privilege and not being able to, or not, I'm not going to infantilize you, not choosing to be intentional about looking at other people's perspective and their experience, right? Because you have the ability. And I do not understand how, as someone of your age, when so much of this was politicized, and on the media and the newspapers and on the TV, if you had one, because I do understand. Again, I was raised by my grandmother who was born in 41. But there was no way that you lived a life where you did not at least see this in some form of media, the things that were happening to Black people within this country during that time period. So for you to say that America was a great place is
You didn't ask,
honestly ridiculous and disgusting.
you didn't ask that question.
No, they asked.
Question that was
It was
asked.
asked at what point in time was America great? Not for you. Not when was your life great. Not when was your childhood great. Not what was the greatest time for your childhood experience, but when was America great? When was America something to aspire to? Because for me as a Black woman, I would never aspire to go back to those years.
No, I wouldn't either. I was talking about me personally. So I misunderstood.
Do you understand in saying that you like the phrase "Make America Great Again"? It is to return.
I misunderstood.
And
I thought you were
I'm
asking
giving-
me
and I'm-
what I thought. My personal.
Okay.
When I told you
So
that the
Bob,
best thing you
Bob,
can do is be quiet
hang on
and
a second.
listen, Bob.
I've
Bob,
been
you gotta
listening.
let people finish their complete sentences
Go
before
ahead.
you respond.
Go for it.
All right, let me pause. To say "Make America Great Again," do you understand that is returning it to a point in time when people thought it was great? Because that's what again infers. Do you understand that, Bob?
Yes, but that's not how I thought you were asking the question when you were reading off all those questions.
So, but you do
So now
understand
you
at
ask
this
me.
point,
Why don't you ask me now?
Ask
do
that
you still
question.
like the phrase "Make
I
America Great Again," Bob?
ask that question.
Personally, I don't know. I can't answer it because I really don't know what is great. It always can be better. So it's not great, make America better again, maybe. I don't know, make great, just a play on words. But I'd love to see Make America Great
You think
again.
it's a play on
Would you
words?
like to
Because
see
I think
America
it was
great?
intentional.
So I'll answer that. As a veteran, what I would like to see is America be great for all. For all Americans.
I
But that's
agree.
not, no, please don't, Bob. I very much gave you time and I always give you time, and I'm going to ask that you do the same for me. When we're looking at the phrase, the pivotal word in Make America Great Again is the word again. All right. That's the operative word of that sentence. But there are many Americans that cannot look to a point in history and say that America was great at that time. I want to go back and live there. There are many Americans who never want a repeat of history, ever. So when we say the word again, we're implying that we want to step back into our past as a country and relive those moments. And that's very dangerous to an entire group of people. And so, yes, I want America to be great. I would like for America to be the greatest. All right. But when I say greatest, I don't mean the most domineering, the most dominating. I want one that gives all of the same equity to everybody that is here in America, that everybody that is an American. And for those immigrants that are coming over, I want to be a safe place to harbor them from what they're running away from. I want to be great for everybody.
All right. Okay. At this point, I want to just go ahead. I know that White Silence you wanted to add on to what
Yeah.
Rose was saying, and then we'll go to Jabber afterwards.
Cool. Well, that's all right. White Silence is probably going to say all the perfect things, and then I don't have to say as much.
Just love you already. Stop.
She proudly upstaged me this morning, and I loved every moment of it.
Thank you. First of all, I find it kind of ironic. First of all, to be clear, just a little disclaimer.
A little low, honey. You're a little low. We can't hear you very good. Low. Scream at us.
Is it better now?
Yeah. Oh my
Yes.
God. Yes.
Oh, I don't know my AirPods. Sometimes my kids play with them, so yeah. So I just want to disclaim, I'm not an American. So my perspective on this is clearly that of an outsider, right? I have no lived experience in America, and I do not desire to have any. That's just besides the point, because I find it kind of invalidating and incredibly ignorant when I see fellow whitey people talk about, just like Viola in the comments is talking about how America has made so much progress, and ignoring that progress is being willfully ignorant. America has been at war with the rest of the world 95% of your existence. That's point one. Point two, America was founded with no Black people on the table, no indigenous people on the table, no women on the table. Were founded by white men that invaded the continent or the country that later became the country, an already inhabited and already established area of the world, and then took another 89 freaking years, which is an entire generation or even two, depending on how you look at it, to quote unquote free Black people from slavery. So how the entire F do you expect a country that was found while Black people were still in physical shackles to ever be great and just for everybody, when not everybody was included when it was founded? That's point one. Point two, she's saying, so what, in the comments. Same thing happened all over the world. You know what happened all over the world? Your face. I'm so I cannot. How would you sit down here as a white woman, as a whitey woman, with all this ignorance? No, it did not happen all over the world, darling. It did not happen all over the world. Chattel slavery did not happen all over the world. It took place mainly in America. It was mainly in America where black people were kidnapped to. So do not get it twisted, because nowhere in the world besides Europe and America is racism still this present and this economically felt by BPOC than in America and Germany. For example, there are many countries, of course, that are predominantly white, that have a very high or very tight system of white supremacy. That's not the point. The point is you are sitting on point one, stolen land, point two, land that was stolen while black people were in shackles. And that did not happen all over the world. Stop invalidating black people's history, the struggles and the efforts they put into the country, and the yapping you're doing that black women made possible. Shame on you. That, sorry. Secondly, Bob, I want to ask you something. You said, make America great again, yet you were not even able to define when America was ever great. Because you need to understand that you judge from a point of privilege and a point of non-lived experiences that you do not have any empathy for, you do not have any knowledge about, which you have clearly shown here. Funny enough, you have knowledge to use TikTok, you have knowledge to be here and yapping nonsense at your biblical age, but you do not have the knowledge and you do not have the inspiration, the motivation and the empathy to simply Google and read upon the Crown laws, for example. I, as a non-American, would tell you that the Crown laws, which were abolished, which were like, the discrimination against black hair was made illegal in 2019. Just for your reference, that was 5 years ago. So still, black women are still not safe to wear their natural hair on stolen land invaded by whitey people. There has never been a time in history where any place where whitey people stepped foot on has ever been great for black people. Not the motherland and not any other country where we ever stepped foot on. Let me tell you that. And at your age, you should absolutely and 100% be able to do better than this, because what you're doing here is an absolute shame. And you should be ashamed of yourself at your age to be able to use TikTok, but to not have read a single article or listened to a single lived experiences of the people around you that you are so fast to invalidate. Shame on you, old man. And that's on that. So.
Wow.
Wow, so beautifully said. Jabber, did you want to add anything?
You see what I mean? I just get to sit here and hang out now. This is great. No, thank you so much, White Silence. Really, no, joking aside. I mean, so I first met White Silence earlier today, and I just so appreciate everything you just said. And you and I may need to collaborate on a couple of things because I have some questions. Are you German?
Yes, I'm German Tunisian.
Yeah, I was just making sure because I could kind of tell. But I, yeah. You know, it's, you know, Bob, when you say things like, you know, make America great, I think the reason why a lot of people in your position who, and I know you said, you know, from your perspective, right? But that's largely based on feelings, right? You have a nostalgia for a time when you didn't have to really like deal with people who weren't white, people who weren't of your similar culture, your similar ilk, your similar vibe, your similar look, your similar level of success, right? Generally speaking. And so it's easy to be nostalgic for something. And also, we also tend to forget a lot from our childhood, right? But we never know when we're children, even when we're adults. I mean, heck, I didn't start learning about systemic racism, really learning about systemic racism until I was 45, and I consider myself a history buff. I mean, 25 years ago, people have been telling me for years, you should have been a history teacher. If you weren't an actor, you could make, you should be a history teacher. And now knowing what I know, I would be embarrassed if I became a history teacher 25, 30 years ago. Because now, knowing what I know now and knowing what they teach in our schools, it would be just laughable, So if America was so great, that feeling of yours is because you didn't have to deal with any of the marginalized communities that were.
Look at you. Don't you worry about what.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. There are things that you just don't have to. You had the luxury of not having to, quote unquote, deal with, right, or be in similar spaces with, or have to share resources with, or right, with any of, quote unquote, those people. And so as long as the quote unquote other, people who didn't look like you, people who didn't act like you, right, who you heard through all media sources were criminals. They didn't value education. They're always getting in trouble. They're always doing drugs. They're homeless. They're stupid. They're less than in every way. As long as you don't have to deal with that, right? And as long as you're getting all the resources that you need, and to heck with everybody else, well, sure. Life's pretty great. If I was a a lot of comedians complain nowadays, right? Like, oh, you can't do comedy anymore. You can't do stand-up comedy without offending anybody. That's not true. Great comedians can make a comedy out of anything, and yet they choose to punch down to marginalized people. And why is there such a great meaning grand tradition of punching down on marginalized people? It's because they weren't even allowed in the clubs. They would never, and even if they were to go into the club, even if they could legally walk into a comedy club, I would be one out of the 200 people in the place. Most of the people like them are the bussers, the bus people, usually bus boys and servers, or they were like, cigarette, not even that. Women wouldn't even get that job, but they wouldn't even be in those spaces, right? To say, hey, that's offensive, right? And that is causing, when you tell those jokes, right? It's enabling people when we walk out of the comedy club. It's not about necessarily what happens in the comedy club. It's what happens after they walk out of the comedy club, right? So when people punch down on trans people, when comedians punch down on trans people, for example, you're enabling the people in the club, most of whom are white and are laughing along with this joke, to then go out and treat trans people like garbage, right? But if you now say, okay, we're going to be more inclusive and we're going to include more black people into our white spaces, and we're going to invite more trans people into, and sometimes with intersectionality, they could be black and they could be female and they could be trans. But let's even take that off the table. Let's just say from a black perspective, the more that you open up those spaces, the more you have to cater to your audience. You have to be accountable for your actions. And when in the days when you could just literally, like, not only legally, but socially and culturally, just treat any of the quote unquote others like absolute trash. And because there was this agreed upon, this sort of social contract of white is good and the rest are less, then it naturally follow that there were laws that were created and there were policies that were instituted. And even if you were to make a law, it doesn't necessarily change people's minds. So when you talk about this idea of greatness, that's a feeling you have. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we as a collective were great. It means it was great for a few people. And we still maintain, we have done everything we can in our power to maintain that. We've been taught that the Civil Rights Act fixed it. But that's ridiculous. You don't pass a law. Passing a law doesn't change people's minds. Passing a law just puts another obstacle in their way. And if people feel strongly about it and strongly enough about it, they're going to find every way possible to work around that obstacle. Just like your accountant does when they change the tax laws. You know, when I don't want to eat as much ice cream, I don't bring any ice cream into the house, right? And when I have ice cream in my freezer, what do? I bury it underneath other food items so that I don't see it. And when I don't see it, it's not in my face, and so I'm not necessarily going to, in this case, eat it, which is my engagement with the ice cream. By the way, I just thought of the ice cream analogy like 10 minutes ago, so if it's not polished, everybody, I apologize. But what do we do when we don't want to face things? We tuck them away. Just like one's emotions, you know, things that have traumatized you in the past that you kind of tuck away, or, you know, traumatic event, right? We push them aside, we push them to the back of our brain, and we create ways of emotionally dealing with it, and we frame the narrative in a way that's going to make us feel better. But as we become more inclusive and we realize, oh yeah, by the way, these are human beings we're talking about, right? We have to look at the ways that we dehumanize in order to justify the things that we're already doing. That's what we did in this country with slavery. We said, oh, you know what? Well, we did this. No, I know on the surface it seems like a bad thing, but let me explain to you why we do this, right? Because actually see their noses and their mouths and their bodies and their, right? And that's, yeah, there's also this thing like it affects their brain size and all. I mean, it's just like a whole bunch of things that we just make up to justify, just like your kid would do if they came home from school and they messed up.
Robert, land the plane.
Yeah, sorry, done. Oh, it's landed. You say landed, it's landed. Thank you. I knew somebody needed to shut me up. Thank you.
Bob, did you hear anything what they had to say?
Yeah, a lot. But what's the answer?
Well, the first answer is acknowledging it and accepting it and saying that you're not a bad person for saying, I don't know. And I need to, I want to learn, you know, asking more questions than just acting like you have answers.
The ultimate responsibility, honestly, is on white people. I'm just being honest with you guys.
Exactly.
It's ultimately on you guys. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, please.
No. I'm not sorry. No, I'm not sorry for that. No, that was just something that flew out. I'm never sorry. But here's my thing, and I did want to chime in, and I just had to say this. I usually don't address people on the panel that say some silly things, but we have a 75-year-old man here that's seen so much history. I am baffled how people. Well, I'm not baffled. No, I'm never baffled. I know why, but like, let me give you a quick example. Just some significant parts of history. We're not going to talk about the countless lynchings. Is there a term for with lynchings? I hope I don't want to mess up your thing. So melanated.
I think probably just strange fruit.
Strange fruit, yeah, that's probably better, yeah. But we're not talking about the countless strange fruitedness of America. We're going to talk about. We'll start with the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, which happened in 1963. We can go on to Martin Luther King's unalivement. Yes, unalivement. Malcolm X's unalivement. Medgar Evers' unalivement. What Fannie Lou Hamer went through when she was captured for voting, and the assault that took place. Also, her testimony on Capitol Hill, which was cut short. That's just a few aspects. That's just a few moments that this man has lived through. We can also talk about the Black Panthers. We could talk about the Evangela Davis. We could talk about all these other facets. The move bombing, Reagan's anti-crime, anti-drug bill, which led to which came before which came after the Iran-Contra affair, which put drugs in our neighborhoods. And this is a known fact. And then after that, we talk about 9/4 crime bill, which put the 3 strikes count. And we can go on and on and on. This man has lived for the 75 years of American history, and they say when there was an actual time in America where people were actually having fun, or America was great. I always ask this question. Number one, when was it great for everyone? And I never has gotten it. I'm sorry, maybe somebody already asked that question, but I never get an answer because it hasn't been great for all of us. That's number one. Number two, I am so frustrated why black folks on this app have to do this. I mean, not how can I put this? They have to pour their heart, not pour it. I'm saying pour their heart and souls to people that just won't get it, and that's frustrating to me because I thought we're all human beings. I thought we're all Americans until it's time for America to actually live up to this credo and its creed, and it doesn't. It never has, and it never will probably. Because the one thing that they cannot get over, one of many things, they can't get over the fact that what has done to Black America is just more than race, more than slavery. It is more than Jim Crow laws. It's more than the things I just described to you. It's the fact that you don't see us as human enough to be considered being just enough to have these laws be just for us. We can't go out we're afraid to go out at night because we're afraid that the police officers will pull us over. We are afraid to be around white folks by ourselves because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have these issues if we were treated correctly in the first place, and yet we still have these problems today. It's continuous. We had just had an alignment of Roger Fortner, if I'm not correct, the young Air Force 23-year-old who was pew-pewed 6 times for answering his door. That's heinous, because this country has not seen us as human, and they still don't see us as human. They see us as entertainment. Watch, I'm telling you right now, I think I said this before, I said this earlier on another live. Watch as they cheer for us as the U.S., as the Olympics start. They'll cheer for us, USA, that's great. But the moment we say Black Lives Matter, oh, you're a disgrace to America. What are you talking about? Get over it. It's in the past. I'm getting tired of I'm tired of America reaping the benefits of Black presence without giving us our just due. And with that, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna ramble on.
All right,
You
before
mean like
I
me?
just wanted to say something really quickly. So Freedom, I have to step away for a few minutes. Can you moderate the panel for me?
No problem.
Thank you.
Can I chime in just for a moment? May I?
Go ahead,
I'll wait.
Chaotic. I'm going, then Rose, and then you can go. But Bob, are you taking this in?
Oh, ask Jabber that question.
Why would I ask Jabba that?
Well, because. Why just me?
Because you're the one talking about make America great.
I explained why I said it. I misunderstood it. I took it as me personally, not the country, and I took it wrong. What was it? I didn't. If you ask me the question again with the again, let me finish.
No, I'm not gonna let you finish. Tell me the reason why you took it personal. How would you make America great?
It depends on how you define, again, great. I mean, great for what? Great financially, great socially, great economically. I don't know. Great what?
So you didn't misunderstood. You know what we were saying when it says make America great again.
See, I think again, you go into the the social part of it, I think when you ask that question, now if you ask it socially, I don't think it was ever great. If you ask me economically, sure, there's periods of time it was economically great.
No,
And that's
explain
my
that.
mind, because the way I think, I don't think, and you don't think the same as everybody here. You have a different view on different things. So my view on that Make America Great Again was I was more thinking in the financial area, because I did grow poor. So I was thinking in the financial, but that was the happiest time I had, was when I was poor. And and that was, I mean, we're, eating potato pancakes like every day for, God, who knows how long. I hate them. I don't even want to look at them anymore. But yeah, I don't know how make America great. I don't know how, if you could ever make America great, because it always needs improvement.
Bob.
Yeah.
So when you first got invited to this panel, right? You were asking what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Silver and Grammy who explained to you the bingo board, that this was a discussion on the harmful things that were said in regards to racism and how it affected Black people, and that all of these things were harmful. From there, we continue to have a conversation about other things, other harmful, not other, but more, we delved further into how these things are harmful to the Black community. And it seemed to me at that very point in time, whether you completely understood what was being said, that you completely understood that was the topic. So it is hard for me to grasp my mind around the idea that now, suddenly, when asked the question about making America great again, you did not understand the context in which it was not great for Black people. When from the beginning,
great for Black people.
Okay, so Bob, I'm going to say this again. From the beginning, you understood that this bingo board was the harmful rhetoric that was held towards Black people and perpetuated by racism. You understood that, correct?
Want the truth? I really didn't think about it that way. With that verbiage, I thought you were going. Let me finish. I thought you were going down, maybe a political, and I didn't want to go down the political, referring to a.
When Silver, I believe it was Silver specifically, that said each and every one of these phrases are harmful, and then started delving into the fact that perpetuated racism. You did not understand that.
Before I misunderstood it. Even though you said all of them, it's almost like it's like a mousetrap, I'm not thinking every one of those things as being something you should or shouldn't say, only when you ask me the question. And then when you read another one, I would think about it and go on.
Right. No, Bob, I'm talking about after that. So after, and it wasn't myself, but it was Silver and Grammy who were going through each and every one of these with you. I believe it was specifically Silver that said each and every one of these is harmful, right? Did you understand that in that moment?
Yes.
Okay.
But
So
I
after
didn't
you
understand, how can it be some things like that one? I was, again, going back to my childhood, which is wrong. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. I made a mistake. I went off on a tangent in my mind. And so if you ask me that question again, I don't think ever.
You do not have to keep reiterating your thought process.
You don't understand it then.
No, I do understand it.
You
I'm
don't
trying.
understand what you want to understand. I'm trying to explain.
Bob, my love, I'm trying to explain to you how your thought process was illogical. I can understand that was your thought process, but I'm
so
trying
it was illogical. So now what? Explain what I should do.
So you are being disingenuous. Period. Because you knew what they was asking.
You didn't hear me. I swear to God, on the Holy Bible, I did not think that.
I'm not like Rose. I'm not going to baby you. I'm not going to baby you because nobody babies me. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, Bob, we just want you to understand. I'm not going to do that. You knew what the hell they were saying. You knew it. But you just want to say, now, it was personal. It wasn't personal at all. I know you can't control that impulse control, but dig deep inside your soul to have that impulse control, please. So at this moment, I'm always say you're disingenuous, period. and you want to say it's personal, but it wasn't personal. When someone say "Make America Great Again," you already know it's not personal. It is talking about America. But you're not dumb, and you know what it's actually said. TJ, please mute your mic. Chaotic.
Can I respond?
You can put yourself on mute because I'm tired of hearing you saying personal. I'm not a nice person at all because I have had enough of YT people trying to make an excuse. Chaotic.
Wow.
Yes, Bob. Um, Simply just because you were born, whenever you were born, does not give you the right to be disingenuous, which just means you're being intellectually dishonest. You have to stick in these uncomfortable situations like many of us have to, because it's the conversations we need to have in order to not perpetuate the shit that we have, that the world has done to marginalized communities. It does not matter. Your uncomfortability, that's on you. Your willingness to not learn, that's on you. These people up here should not be educating you and coddling you because you don't get it because you're born in a certain time. No, I don't get that.
Well, you
And
can work
for the
on.
person who's simping down in the corner for you saying, "It's okay, I know what you meant," you're just being berated. No, you're being told you're being willfully dishonest. You want to be coddled because that's what you've had your entire life. All YT people have had inherent privilege because they were YT people. That is a fact. You were born with a privilege you did not earn. You were born privileged. You were born with a spoon in your mouth without even realizing you had a spoon in your mouth. You don't see it because you don't want to see it. I am a biracial person. I look phenotypically white. I have more privilege than most people that don't look like me. And I still listen to these people. You're not listening to people to listen. You're listening to respond. And that's where you're disconnecting. So I've said my piece. Thank you.
Can I say this?
Something here.
Can I say this
Oh,
before
sorry,
I
sorry.
drop? I have to say this before I drop. It's not the fact that the disingenuousness behind it. It's just the fact that it's just a lack of. It's just a lack of empathy. It's like it's inherently like and I don't know if it's genetically possible for some people. And I'm gonna be honest, some white males in this country to be empathetic towards the fact that these things have happened to us. And yet we have history on our side. We have history. We have recordings. We have we are in the information age. We have the Library of Congress. We have all these things in front of us where information is flowing, and some of us rather be obtuse than to honestly read, think about, wonder why do black people feel this way? Why are we having a bingo board full of some harmful rhetoric that we have experienced on this here app? My biggest problem is shouldn't take us doing all this to get through to some people, and yet the inherent ignorance, the inherent disingenuousness, and the inherent episodes of lack of care for another human being is constant. We got somebody down here in the comments right now. I think this is a joke. This is a game. This is just fun, and this is just funny to him. Racism takes lives. Every day that racism exists, it takes another black life. And I'm tired of people coming in here and thinking this shit is a joke. This is not a joke to us. This is real life. This is what we go through. These are our experiences. If you do want to be in this space, or you do not want to listen, why don't you just leave? Because frankly, I really don't like to see my people waste time on other people that are disingenuous with a lack of inherent lack of decency to understand that we're not pouring out our souls. We're telling you how it is. And if you don't like it, you still tend to be so disingenuous to a point where it frustrates us. So again, the lack of empathy in America is so. It must be genetically. It must be genetically embedded in some white males mostly, because they'll sit up here and just violate us, tell us our experiences don't exist, and it just say the most vile things in the comments, and then get mad when they get upset when we have that reaction that we post it. That's the way we react. Like somebody said, I forgot who said earlier. We're not calling you. It's not our job to call you. I'm saying we're not supposed to be teaching you. You're supposed to know this. Some of us have been on this earth longer than others, and you're supposed to know all this stuff. This stuff I didn't even live through. I had to read in history books that some people lived through, and they still would deny anything has happened. That's the most frustrating fucking part of this whole conversation. I'm in with that. I'm gonna drop, guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I'm gonna take some YFL.
TJ, that was awesome.
Yes, thank you. And I wanted to maybe have another conversation with Bob if I could. Bob, you've been up here for a long time, and I appreciate you listening. I'm not sure if how well you listened to what everybody said, but I do appreciate you sitting up here and doing this and beginning to break down maybe some of the things that you believed that are problematic. And the one thing I kind of want to talk about this background as a whole, because a lot of times we're going to be told that, like it was some type of got you, that we picked all of these things that were intentionally bad to corner you into saying you believed one of them. And that's not what we're doing up here. We know all of these are bad. We when somebody comes up, we tell them they're all bad. So there are signs on that board that I myself could pick of things that I've said before. And so we're not saying because you picked one of them and liked it, that makes you a bad person. We're saying that the ideology behind all of these comments are bad. And we want to break down for people why they're bad so that we can begin to build up with education, because we've sat in this country and all of our textbooks were created by a group called Moms for Liberty, Daughters of the Confederacy, these types of groups. Because our education came from those types of places, we believe some of these things to be okay because we sit in our individualism. Because just like you said, Bob, and I believe you, that when you were looking at Make America Great, that you were only thinking about yourself. 100%. We understand that. You were only thinking about your own personal life, and when your own personal life was really good for you and how you wanted to feel again. And we understand that. There are points in my life that I would potentially say were the best times in my life that I'd love to feel that way again. But by saying that, if we were to really go back to any time in our history, we just want you to know that as a community, which is America is a community. We're not just a bunch of individuals living here. And the white supremacist ideology would have you believe that you're an individual, that you should only care about yourself, that you should only care about your family, and everybody else should do the same and mind their own business. But what we're asking is that in order to break down these structures, white people have to do it as a whole. We have to come together and understand that we don't have the corner on the market for what's best for this country, because what we've thought was best for this country all along has been harmful to other groups. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And so do you think that in looking through a communal lens instead of an individualistic lens, we could have an easier time of making this country great?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Would you like to continue to hear about some of the things like on this list why they're problematic and the history of why these things are problematic to some Americans?
I would like to know, which one you said on that before. Which ones were the ones that you said, and why did you say it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was taught I don't see color. And my belief was that we should judge everybody by the content and their character, right? I should not look at somebody and say they're one way or another because of the color of their skin. I should wait until they act or until they behave a certain way to say something. And I believed when I said I don't see color that that's what it meant. But that's not what it means. It's very privileged for white people to say, I don't see color. It doesn't affect my life. I have the ability to judge you by the content of your character. I can do that. And so I believe that everybody has the ability to do that, because who am I? I'm a nobody and I can do this thing. But that's not what it means, because there's an entire community of people who don't get that option. Somebody from the Black community can't say, "Excuse me, Mr. Officer, I don't see color. You can't see color when you look at me." They can't, a Black woman can't go to the hospital pregnant in the United States and say, "Hey, doctor, I don't see color, so I should have the same experience as a white woman in this place." When we know that Black women unalive, if you understand what that word means for TikTok, we know that Black women unalive at a 3 times higher rate during pregnancy and childbirth because of racist beliefs within the medical system, because of white supremacist ideology within the medical system. And so they can't not see race because this system is put in place like that. And so when we say, "I don't see color," we're basically dehumanizing them and saying that we don't see their experience and what they're going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
You guess. And so more what I should be saying is that I do see color. I do see what they experience, and I understand that that experience is different than mine.
Maybe when somebody says, "I don't see color," it could be at that time or place, they don't really, they're discussing or they're going over something that has nothing to do with you looking at them as they could be anything, but you're more tuned on what they're saying rather than what the surroundings are.
Exactly. And that's exactly it, Bob.
Now,
but that's a privilege, right? But that's a privilege that you and I have.
But if that person said, "I don't see color because I just had a conversation," didn't even realize it was black, yellow, green, and purple. So what would happen?
Because that's not what it means, first and foremost.
Here's what I see so far, and I've been on this for a long time.
Hey, Bob.
Here's what it seems like to me. No matter what you do or what you say.
Nope.
Oh, please let me clock him.
Go ahead. I tried.
I'm so sorry.
This time softly, but yeah, go ahead.
I was supposed to come in after Chaotic. All right, I'll go next.
No, you're good. But Bob, Pookie, we don't like when y'all say that because it's so invalidating to our experiences. And also most of the times when that comes up, they try to prove they're ally to us, or like they try to be like, "I'm with you, sister, I promise." Like, that is a microaggression. I am so sorry. We do not like that. It is invalidating. It is not cute. They always say that to like try to pretend to be on our side but never advocate for us and the things that we have to go through. Yeah. So please, as a black woman, stop saying that. Also,
Yeah.
whatever in the comments. If you want to come up on this panel, you sure can. If not, go ahead and get arthritis in those thumbs. No, you're
It,
okay, Jabber.
it
Thanks.
actually makes us more leery. I actually, when people say things like that, it actually makes me stand further away from them, because it just shows how you don't actually see what we're going through. And in regards to
Yeah.
what you said, and I'm sorry, Jabber, in regards to what you said, Bob, well, maybe it's because we're talking about something that has nothing to do with that. That's what you're not understanding. That every incident, everything that takes place in my life has something to do with the fact that I am black. Not because I want it to, but because that's the way the world sees me. That's the way the United States sees me. These are the things that are placed on my head, that I am aggressive, or that I'm the palpable one for a black woman. You know what I mean? Or, the way my hair is, oh, it's unkempt, or, oh, well, that is just so ethnic. Like, I wish my hair would be that way. Like, in the matter of me just walking outside of my house, there is no ability for there not to be a conversation, a thought, or a bias about my body, my being, or my existence.
Yes, ma'am. Clock it.
Yeah, I wanted to add something quickly. So when you say I don't see color, what you're actually doing is you are legitimizing and further perpetuating racism, because what that actually does is that you are you're invalidating some of the existence of Black people when you say that. And then also it's as if you are turning a blind eye to racism that's actually going on. And also studies have actually shown that people that were raised to believe that they don't see color are more likely to display microaggressions than people that do not say that.
I didn't say that. I was going over her. She said it. She said that's what she said when she was younger or whatever. And I just gave an example. I never said I don't see color. I
No,
never
wasn't
said that. That was one of
that
the
you say
questions. I
that.
said no.
Hang on, Bob. I wasn't saying that you said that. I'm just
Oh,
explaining that saying why
okay.
I don't see color is a problem.
No, that's understandable why you say it. I understand that. That's common sense again.
So you kind of defended it, Bob, but I'm going to be honest with you, and I know you're not going to like what I have to say.
Well, I probably won't, but that's okay. You'll still will.
Yeah, of course. No permission needed. Thanks.
I don't
This is
think
what
he's
I'm
that
talking
defensive. I love this.
No, that was wild. I needed permission. Anyway, so
I say
my
that I'm not gonna be nice to him. Like, now you understand, Rose? Stop trying to color them, cause like,
Oh,
no.
freedom. This is just the game. You'll. It depends. If you catch me in more spaces, you'll get it. You'll get it. I can't today with Bob.
I wasn't being argumentative there. I'm sorry. I was saying that in a good way. That like this is never mind. I was not
You're
pumping
done.
up Bob
You're coached.
or he was being defensive, but I've seen a lot worse. I was just saying, and sorry, wasn't trying to.
Isn't that
Yeah, but
human nature when somebody
it's your turn anyway.
says something
I'm
that
just saying,
I didn't say?
Rose. I don't want Rose to be nice, cause we are. It's time for us not to be nice.
I just come off as palatable. That's what they believe until they're in the right corner. Yes, baby.
Can I get two?
You can get to. So the reality is that I know you said you don't see it, right? And I don't know if you do, but I do believe that you wholeheartedly.
Mom, I got cake.
Oh, and blue raspberry?
Yes.
I do believe that you do believe it. And here's the reason why. Because you keep going back to this phrasing of whether they're white, red, green, or purple. And it is
The
often
same.
those aren't colors of real people.
I know. Okay. I mean, you pick apart everything I say.
No, babe. What you're not understanding
Oh
is
my God. I know. And subconsciously, because I said that, now I'm
no, Bob. I need you to stop. What you are doing, hold on, baby. What you are doing is literally using palatability as a tenet of white supremacy. The fact that you are saying things that seem nice, that you have not used an aggressive tone, that you haven't used any curse or swear words.
For an hour and a half, I've been degraded.
Now, please, because you're not listening. So because you think that this is the way that you're speaking and it's completely acceptable for anything that you say to just be like, all right, well, Bob's a good person. We must agree with everything that Bob says because you are palatable. And that is one of the things that upholds white supremacy the most. The fact that you believe because you speak in a palatable manner that you are to be accepted in everything that you say is to be acceptable. However, when met with the same thing, I have been nothing but palatable to you today, that you are somehow being attacked in one manner or another, berated, as you so said. But suddenly I am not palatable enough as a Black person, but yet you have used microaggression after microaggression. You have thought that Make America Great Again was a great idea, and yet your palatability is completely acceptable, and we should be able to go along with everything that you say, and it should be a wonderful thing. Yet I have been sitting here palatable as hell to you, despite your aggressions, whether they be subconscious or conscious. And that's not enough for you. It is the idea that everything that you say is to be upheld and grandized. And while I am the one living the experience, it is to be minimalized and pushed to the side and negated. And you are not hearing yourself. And honestly, I am done with you.
Oh, can I speak now?
No.
I think there are other people.
Then I have to go. I have to go.
Oh,
And I know you're happy. No,
Well, I think Jabber had something to.
Fuck out of here.
see what I'm talking about? They be all in our spaces,
Oh.
bro. And the moment we stick up for ourselves, they're gonna be like, "I have to go." You don't have to go. You're just mad because you're not gonna have your power here, Pookie.
Yep.
Pookie. Oh, so funny.
You know what I was about to tell him? I was about to say that I actually thought that he was like just emotionally, I don't know, I sensed that he was a little more open than you were allowing him to be. But then I was going to say it doesn't matter what I think, and I would never say that, right? I was going to say this to him. You know, like earlier when I apologized to you, A Banks, and I was just like, it was just casual, like, oh gosh, you know, sorry. And you're like, you're good. And we just moved on. And it's like just getting to a place where you can understand people's humanity. And even in that moment, there's the dynamic. Even in those, right? In those
And that's the
moments,
thing,
and that happens millions of times. Millions.
Right. He just kept on and kept on and kept on making excuse after excuse, and I
Yeah.
didn't understand it. I didn't, even after it was clarified 3-4 different times, he still says he didn't understand it. He didn't understand the question.
When anybody just goes,
silly.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, when anybody just says, yeah, I know they didn't get it. You know, you say, do you understand? And then 3 seconds later, yes. I know
It's
that
the YT
all of it
guilt,
went right
bro.
through them. Yeah, it is.
The YT guilt. It's I call it selective confusion, because they should all know what this is in their big age. Because he was a very big age. Because I thought I heard the CPAP machine on, but no, like they know. And I also host panels as well, and I try not to educate them over and over again because it's not our jobs to educate them. And also, like, they choose not to be educated. So, as exhibit 1,000 on these TikToks, because they always love to come into our spaces and then be shocked when we call them out. Like, the privilege and entitlement is crazy. And the fact that he was just like leaving because he thought his voice wasn't being heard is also a prime example of that. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so tired. But still, I want some more opposition. Oh, yeah, Viola, I would love for you to come up on this panel because I hope you get arthritis in them thumbs, but you tapping away. No,
I'm
don't
just
mute
gonna
her
start
comments,
deleting
y'all.
her comments every time she puts
No,
one
no,
in
no,
there.
no, no,
It's
no.
gonna remove it.
No, don't put her in timeout. Let her come up here because she got a lot to say. Come on, Viola Pookie.
Been
I'm waiting for
trying. She
you.
won't come.
Oh, she's scared.
So I'm not gonna give her a voice anymore. She's not coming. I've been trying to invite her and she's not coming.
Oh, because she's scared. She wants to stay in the comments, and that's fine. But Viola, let me address you, Pookie, with the what's it called? The very thin lips, because y'all love to speak so loud. But please come up here, Sour Cream Citizen. I'm waiting.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
Jabber, you came from my life. I love you.
I prefer
Bush.
yogurt Yeti.
Yogurt Yeti, Sour Cream Citizen, all of that. Come up here. Don't be
Silver's
scared.
got a pocket you can hold.
A Banks, while she's waiting to come up, I noticed that she said earlier, well, this stuff happened, people suffer all over the world. You know, it's not perfect in any country in the world.
Oh my gosh.
So you can respond to that while she's deciding whether to come on up.
Because they want to talk about everything but America, but then also simultaneously don't know about world history and how loud and wrong they are. Because when I joined, I was like, y'all need to put Vikings as one of the bingos, because they always bring up Vikings for some reason. It is so funny.
Yes, somebody write that down so we can put that on the next bingo card.
What about the Vikings? They're like, Vikings used to wear braids. Put it just like that, because that's how they always bring them up.
I put in the comments the Citibank report, a Citigroup. I don't know if you all know about that, but in 2020 they did this report, and I'm going to put it in there again because it is amazing when people talk about, you know, economics and it's, you know, it impedes progress and all this stuff. Look at that report. It's an update of their 2020, and the total in there is like, it's like $21.3 trillion since the millennium that we've lost in potential economic growth and wealth due to systemic racism.
I'm not shocked.
So after all of that, you know, and you're like, okay, Mr. Conservative, okay, Mrs. Conservative, okay, suburban white mom, here you go. And then you realize they just don't care. Because if you put that in front of me, I'd be like, sign me up. Sign
the people
me
in the
up.
comments are asking, they're asking again what the report was. Hi, Mello.
No, I don't know. I have a scroll feature on my phone. Do you all have one of those on your smartphone? It's called the scroll feature. You put if you take the little tip of your index finger, not the whole thing, just the tip, make sure your nails are clipped, and then you just push it up or push it down.
Yeah, it's in the comments, y'all.
Closing the racial wealth gap. I mean, you can virtually memorize it.
I'm so sorry.
McKinsey did another one too.
Say goodbye. I'm dropping down. It's getting late here in Germany, so I'm going to bed.
All right, thanks for coming up.
Y'all are amazing. And by the way, Abe Banks, if I may ask, where is your accent from? I love the way you speak, the way you say, like when you said she's scared, I was like, oh, say that again.
She's scared. I live in Texas.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing to my ears, like music to my ears.
No, I'm low-key mocking them too when I say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's scared. But no, it's so funny. Yes, ma'am. I followed you. So whenever you wake up.
You are all amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And don't let the mayo monkeys get you angry. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Have a good sleep.
Good night.
I'm using that one. That was funny.
Okay, I'm
What
going to
else
let
do-
you
what
all,
else do
you
y'all call
professionals,
them?
have the panel. It's yours. And thank you so much. Thank you so melanated. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
I'm so
What?
sorry.
Oh.
You're not allowed to leave. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, I mean, I can stick around, but I just wanted to defer here.
Well, there's nobody else on the panel.
I have a little
Well,
bit.
we have a new guest,
Okay.
A.
Yeah.
I'll hang for a little bit. Thanks.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Are you guys asking me a question or something? Or
What's your well, first, what do you go by? What can we call you? Age, race, pronouns, that kind of thing.
A, he, him,
And your race?
black.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Stop lying, bro.
What?
Oh, bro, you lying. Turn on your camera, then I want to see your arm.
Okay.
Let's see your arm.
It's not letting me turn my camera on for some reason.
That's crazy. Where are you from again?
Like country or what?
Oh, like your state and city.
In Minnesota.
Oh, what city?
I don't want to say the city. It's like a city with 40,000 people. So
Oh, okay. What's your mom's name?
have to
Why,
answer
why I
that.
say that?
Go ahead.
I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
go
All right,
ahead and say what
let's
you need to go and say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that like whenever I'm around white people, I experience like this sense of arrogance, basically, where like everything revolves around them, and that kind of bothers me a lot. I don't know. They don't have like that like need to like please other people that like we have, I guess.
I
Everyone
don't know
has to
what
kind
need
of
you're
like.
talking about.
Why
I
are you
don't.
talking about your people like that? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what need you're talking about. I know that there is a certain set of survival skills in which we were handed down from time to time in which we must use in order to survive and not be unalived. But what need to please other people? Because as far as I know, the people that I look at that look like me, never have I in my experience seen a collective of black people that needed or wanted to need to please other people.
We played a
Okay.
game.
I'll just explain my point, but what I mean is that like in spaces that are like heavily dominated by white people, a lot of the black people have to like, I don't know how to put
Oh,
this in
he
words.
just said it. He said the black people. You just othered yourself. Oh.
Anyway, we have to like, how do I say this without saying like the need to please? But we have to like basically kiss up to them, essentially.
Do you understand the historical context of racism within America?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're even like having the same conversation, to be honest.
We are
Sounds like you
definitely
think
having
I
the
think
same
that.
conversation.
So now you're trying to say that we are not smart enough to understand what you are saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying you think I
They
disagree
not
with
like
you,
us.
but I
They
don't at
not
all.
like us.
Oh no, I didn't say that. But
I
at
wasn't
this
talking. I was talking to the person I was speaking to,
so at this
which is
point,
Rose. I thought she thought I was disagreeing, but I'm not disagreeing with her. So I don't know. Anyway,
so at this point, I agree with Rose. Um, we are not that type of people to try to please. I let Kansas Owens do that. I let what the other one who was running for senator, his son always talk about his views behind. Yeah, we're not those type of people. So,
Coleman Hughes.
what'd you say, Javi?
No, that's not
It's
it, but I know
Coleman
who you're
Hughes,
talking
and
about.
no, I know Coleman Hughes is
No,
not him, but
no,
Coleman Hughes, Thomas
uh,
Sowell,
Tim Scott, you know,
Tim
all those out
Scott,
there.
Roland Fryer now.
Right, Clarence Thomas, all those. We're not those type of people. Like I could care less. This is a
yeah, that's where I'm at now. I don't really give a shit. But like growing up, I used to be like that because I grew up in an
Yeah,
all-white
like
environment.
Caucasian. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But like now, I don't care. Like I don't
If you
ever
don't
try
care,
to
why are you on this panel? I'm so
like
sorry.
kiss up to
White
them.
man. I mean Caucasian. I mean, sir, A. Why are you on this
so.
panel then if you don't care? Because you literally just started talking like nonsense and had like no point. We're still kind of waiting and actually even more confused when you started talking. So like, what exactly is your point? What's your argument other than
I'm not
talking in
arguing.
circles? You know what a debate is?
What are we debating?
Exactly. About how
I'm trying
you're
to
not
provide my
black and you
perspective.
are
That's
white
it.
too. Because I know who's that actual profile picture. I was just waiting for
Who
you
is
to
it?
reveal
It's
yourself.
literally me. So
Okay, then
who is
change
it?
it. Change it to another one. Oh wait,
Okay, I will. Hold on.
thank you.
His pic is AI generated. If you look closely, I
No, it
think.
isn't. It's literally me.
Then change it.
I'd have to leave to change it.
That's fine.
But
We'll wait.
We'll get you to come back. I will bring you back.
And like I already know it's because like I obviously have like a Valley Girl accent, so I know. But at the same time, I grew up around them. That
But
that
you
is a
don't
white tea
have
person.
you don't have to leave to get your picture
I
changed.
know. I was gonna
You
say that.
don't. It may not show up right away. It takes a minute for it to like, you know what I mean? You might have to like swap your camera around a couple times or whatever, but it
Yeah,
will pop up eventually.
exactly.
I got my Z Fold 5 here, so I just push my two fingers up and it splits the screen. So TikTok's on one, and then I can go into other apps on the bottom. It's amazing.
That's smart.
What
That's
is
all.
it?
It's very cool.
What is it, Jabba?
The Galaxy Z Fold 5. so it's a foldable phone, and you can have 2 or 3 apps open on the screen. And so the TikTok, usually when you go off the TikTok app, but if you have
So
to
it's
retrieve stuff,
literally
you
like a
want to go on.
handheld computer.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. The cameras are amazing. Like, you
I
don't really
want
need a
this.
tripod. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's awesome.
That's a damn razor.
Not the razor.
I had the gold razor, the flat. You remember the big flat? There was like a gold one and a blue one. They were kind of big and bulky, but they were skinny.
Yeah. Java, I'm finna mess with you. Java, I got a nice little flip phone here. This
Nice.
Stepdad still has.
I used to do
phone.
refurbished all the time. I finally bought one new.
Yeah, I did it about twice. Now I just get them brand new because, yeah.
So you're doing the flip, you said, or the razor? You don't have a razor.
Razors are the flip phones.
Oh, you have the newer razor that they did like 2 years ago, or
them damn phones. I already dealt with it when they first came out.
yeah.
Freedom was
I think we need to like start a fake argument with each other, like, so that way we get the views up. Because people love scrolling by and seeing conflicts. So,
Right.
Yeah,
I
should probably
I do have
podcast
some black
then.
friends. So what is
How
the
many people are in here? Let's see. We got 24 people in here. It's 3:54 my time. So let's try to get to 25,000 in the next 6 minutes if we can. And then aim for 30 by a quarter after. And if everybody can put some F1s in the chat, hashtag TikTok shop, send this out to,
Played
your
out.
good friends and the most problematic people that you know. And tell them to get their daubers. It's time to play bingo.
I'll pretend to be opposition until then.
I could definitely pretend, but either way.
I was just gonna.
It won't take long. They'll come in. The fragile white men. They'll start coming in droves pretty soon, and we'll just have to start popping baby bottles.
It's almost happy hour.
They can't handle themselves.
Oh, Dutch, did you speak?
What is your problem with white man?
That right there.
They need to. They need to.
Back in
We
my
need Mr.
day,
Thomas.
That was so unintimidating. Wait, I'm gonna need you to try that again. If you're gonna be offensive, just do it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas.
Well, you are so well spoken.
Because I do these.
Oh my God, play
lives
that
all
one.
the time.
I definitely sound educated, don't I?
Oh my God, you're so lame. Like, again, if you're gonna be offensive, at least be like a little bit funny. Like, I'm gonna give you one more chance.
Mediocre is my middle name.
Great
I
again.
work very hard at it.
I want to make America great again. That's reverse racism. What you're saying right now, making me feel threatened. I'm
I
threatened.
don't feel threatened by that. Clearly has syndrome. I'll wait. Spit it out. We're bored. Not you breaking up with that swamp Wi-Fi.
I'm
Come
old
on,
to
you better.
All I know is like,
Look at the swamp Wi-Fi just doing us justice right now. Even the Wi-Fi is not your friend right now, bro.
It's
You
the
better.
the ancestors working against Duck.
No,
Not him going back to fix it. No, like
I'm
'cause
not
they try to
racist, but
Yeah. Look, I'm the least. Listen.
I
I
have black
appreciate and
friends.
respect all of you, but I am ask anybody, okay? Anybody I know, they will tell you I am the least racist person you will ever meet in your in your entire in your entire life. Okay? When I tell no, hold on a second. I volunteered when I was 14. I reffed soccer for the YMCA, and like 3 of the kids out of the 70 were black. And it was primarily from white neighborhood, but like I was like I
Not
was
the whisper.
always fair.
The Lord.
I was always fair. It's just, it's unbelievable. You know what TJ said earlier that I thought was really valuable?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I remembered it just now. At the very end, he said, you have to read, and this is what I've been telling people, but he said it, and because he's living it. You have to read, and you have to sit and think. And the problem is that something like racism so violates our own inflated sense of ourselves that whenever that is threatened, that's the most immediate trigger for us to develop ways to defend it. And it's first on an emotional level, and then we start to formulate those blurtings and those things we hear from other people, like as they've crafted it, their message, and how they're going to, use these talking points, right, to deflect from it. And so then it just becomes this automatic response. And until I'll just speak for myself, was able to push myself to read and then sit alone with my thoughts and think about it and just consider. And Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Case for Reparations from The Atlantic was the thing that really changed it for me. And then you start to think about threading it all together, and it all kind of starts to make sense. And then you start to freak out, and then you go through the rest of the process. But you have to be able to sit and think about it.
Yeah, Doctor, please tell us how to sit and think about it, because I know you've been having some troubles with your Wi-Fi, that swamp Wi-Fi. So if you did have another insult for us before you obviously get the boot, did you want to try one more time? Duct? Well, I guess not. I think you still have issues with that Wi-Fi. Beyonce doesn't want me on her Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I'm
Beyonce
glad you
said, "Not
recognized it.
today, sir. Not today."
I said her glorious name and she resurrected me. Here I am. Okay, I know I'm not racist because I dated a black woman when I was 18 in 1973. So I've accepted them as and I just want to say that I'm not racist because I'm not a bad person, okay?
A cookie for that. I'm sure you eat several. I love when trolls just don't know how to troll, right? Like at least make us laugh a little bit. Like, can we have like a little bit of a wow factor? Because it's not giving.
So,
Say what you
Melanated,
want
do you
to
have a
say.
soundboard? You should have a soundboard.
Right.
I don't know how to
Say
work
what
it or
you're
turn it on, but you should have one.
A soundboard would be funny.
Oh my God.
John knows how to do it. I don't know how to do it, though.
Oh yeah, they added one on here. Wait. Oh wait, I don't think I can do it. Anyway, I'm gonna pretend to be like some opposition so we can get someone in here because Duck just totally failed. Let me transform into Candace Owens. Let's see. I don't understand why everyone has an issue when the real problem is Black people. If Blacks really did what they're supposed to do in their own community, we wouldn't have a
Yeah.
problem. And you know what? I really think that it is going to be the white people that do come out and save us from our own communities because we can't even handle it. Obviously, because there's things like the hood and the ghetto, and there's just full of thugs and everything. The comments. So I feel like, we need to do better for our own community, and we need to do what the white people are doing and follow up after them and take their example because they don't have these problems in their community. Not James. James is like, now she's making sense. Bro, I'm playing. All right, y'all rebuttal, argue back. We need some cutting off. We need some ratchetness in here. Not Duck. Anybody but Duck. It's sarcasm. The ghetto. Yes, the ghetto. Period.
Yeah, well, let me ask you something.
I definitely would love to speak about these sundown ghettos that we have around our United States of America, where white men are not
Not what?
come out
Finish your
alive.
sentence.
I,
Oh
I, I
my
definitely
god.
want to talk about sundown. Sundown ghettos are definitely a
Yeah,
problem.
let's talk about Nashville. Cause were you in Nashville recently, Ducked? I just want to know. Exactly. He was the James clearly was in Nashville recently. And also, James, you have enough followers to come join this panel. So if you want to, you sure can, Pookie. I want all the smoke. Bring it to me.
I'm gonna drop down, guys. I'm gonna try to take a nap before my husband gets home. I need to. I'm exhausted. But I'm
Make sure you make it a sandwich
till I
too.
fall asleep.
Not making my sandwich.
What are you saving up the energy? All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Grammy.
He said I'm not playing too much heat. Yeah, exactly. So hush. Get arthritis in your thumbs. Type away.
You know, you think about that guy Bob, right?
Yeah.
Bob said he was born in 1941. Now my dad was born in 43. Now, so Bob is what? Bob is 82, right?
Ooh,
Uh,
so far.
Right. Or sorry, 83. And am I mathing right now? Oh my God, I'm so out of it. So Bob is when Bob, when you're growing up, you're just taught, if you're white, you're just taught that the Supreme Court, these people in these black robes, like, no matter what they look like, they are 50-50. They are even Steven. They are completely fair. They are like any judge. You are taught that judges are just completely nonpartisan, non-ideological. You don't even know what that means when you're that age. You don't know what partisan is. You don't know what ideological is. Your parents are just like, those are the people that are fair. And those people, those 9, they are the fairest. And you're like, okay. And then you have no clue. But if he went back and looked at all the Supreme Court cases and then how they, read a couple of simple books about the impact of those cases and the motivation behind them, and like why it didn't go a slightly different way, the way it should have gone, because no court case ever really fixes anything, because white supremacy keeps it from actually could be enforced.
And it's like it's the same thing, like just as simple, not even in the same category, but as simple as like technology. Technology came out in the 90s, right? And or specifically like cell phones, internet, yada yada.
I know
Came
what
out
you
in the
mean.
90s. But they chose for all this time and refused to listen or even learn how to even send a text message or use anything other than a landline or learn how to type by choice. And so, like, again, that is selective confusion. And not James needed backup to join the panel that he's still not going to join. James, we're waiting. I'll let you speak to our Pinky Promise. James is scared of me. I'm so sorry. I never thought James would be scared of a woman, but here we are. Hey, Silver.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm
Did
hoping
you?
you'll come up with me. Do you want me to lead? I'll lead. I'll start with the first one. I'll even pick a different one than I talked about before.
James is playing the Rocky theme right now. He's getting all psyched up. He's in front of the mirror.
With the tiger.
Yep, come on up and hold my pocket.
That's some prison terminology right there.
Are you saying you have a problem with that, Duct?
No, I just remember it from when I was in the slammer. And then every time that somebody left me a candy bar on my pillow, it was a bad time that evening.
Was that like code for you coming out of the closet, or what was that? He was like, "Oh no, it was a bad night." Oh, but you got treated. He gave you some chocolate before he went to Pound Town. James don't want to come up here because he's scared. That's all it is.
James, come up here, buddy. I'll be your backup. I'm not very quick at the words, but I still have my senses.
I don't know about that, but okay. I'm
James, if you
Mary.
don't come up, you're a racist.
He ain't gonna come up. That's not gonna convince him. He already knows he is. It's okay.
You're a fragile white man and a white supremacist. There, I said it.
That's why I said he was in Nashville recently. Were you in Nashville at the I don't want to call it a march, but
It was a very private parade. About 45 of us, just with our flags and our shields and our patriotism.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I grew up down out of Alabama. They don't do any of that down there. I mean, we're fine. We're fine with all them. We don't care.
oh, the accent change is crazy.
I don't care. You can put me in the middle of 5 of them. A grocery store. I help out people all the time. I tell them whether the pretzels are, or talking about ice creams. Because they got all kinds of ice creams now.
Wait,
That's
I want to
just
do one too. Because I'm a kid. Yeah, I always be seeing these black folk around here.
good. Good.
I was being just really nice to my, because my daughter has a biracial nephew. So, I'll be really taking care of Jamal and his little niece. And I'll take him to the barber shop over here in Oak Cliff. And he's just the happiest little black boy ever. And I just...
Love it.
Right, his name is Jaden. Yes, that's my little Jaden with the Y. But yes, it was a big change for me and my family when we had his father coming, so it was very, very much getting used to when he joined our family, but I promise we are not racist at all.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Okay, I'll tell you right now. I've lived on Long Island for 50 years. Okay, and there is not one time.
Oh, damn.
I am so confused right now.
Of course you are. You've been confused since you got here. The cabs are here.
50 years I've been living here, and all of a sudden...
The cabs are here.
Hey.
Jim Tin Laundry.
I may have to host one as that Southern guy.
Honestly, when you said Southern guy, I wasn't looking at my phone and I thought James had come up here. I was like, oh dang.
James is a scary cat. He ain't gonna come up here.
If James comes up here, I'll go first. Because at first he said he would come up here with me, but when I came up here, he wouldn't come up. He moved the goalpost. So he said he wants me to speak first. So I'll speak. I'll absolutely own up to one of these. But if he comes up here, that's when I'll do it.
Come on, Jamesy Poopy. Don't be scared. I think he left, actually.
Oh, he's still there.
Oh,
He
that's
says it's gonna
unfortunate.
restart.
Did I just get ghosted? Did James just ghost me?
Finally.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, everybody
Oh my
mute your
God.
mic.
No, Silver's gonna go first.
Absolutely. So
Welcome.
I'm the one okay, hold on. Let me go back and look through because I already talked about I don't see color, so I want to pick another one. Let's see.
Let James pick one.
No, I told him if he came up here. Oh yeah, if
Pick
the
what?
one that I
Wait, pick
use.
one you want to discuss, or that we
Oh,
agree with, or don't agree with. One of the bingos.
okay.
You
Well, the
clearly don't
one.
agree.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of them. But I can tell you which ones I've used in the past. I have used I don't see color in the past, and I'm definitely willing to go over why I no longer use that one. I have told people to get over it. That's another one that I've used in the past. I talked about, I would say that I've used the Irish one, but only in as much as I talked about, because they were indentured servants, I talk about some of the things that they did, but I've never tried to say that my past was anything, similar to, but I have spoken about it. So I think I am gonna, like what my ancestors did. So I am gonna claim that one. Let's see. So what about you, James? What do you think?
I think it's okay to say I want to tan until I'm
Oh,
as
thank
dark
God.
as you. I don't think so. It's like if you say you don't see color, you can't say you don't see color. Well, hey, tell them that they got a nice shade and you want to get nice and dark in the tanning salon. So that's a compliment.
No, it's not.
Okay.
That's weird.
I mean, most of these are kind of.
So when you go to your said tanning salon, you lack a melanated citizen. Do you show them a picture of a black man and how tan you want to be, or no?
I go to my barber and my tanning salon and my dentist and my cosmetic surgeon with the same picture, and it's a picture of Idris Elba from The Wire, circa 1992.
Okay.
That's weird. Also,
Not
again,
92.
at the tanning salon, you use
90,
a
what,
picture of Idris
99?
Elba. You use a picture of Idris Elba, and that's how dark you want to be. So you want to cosplay as a black person? Is that what you're saying?
Nah.
Okay, so that was stupid.
This is
So
already
moving on.
disappointing.
Well, okay. My ancestors didn't own slaves. I think that's definitely something, because it always is kind of annoying when some guy that family came over 6 years ago from some impoverished slum, because he's considered white. They're telling him he's got to have that same guilt. So
That's privilege, but okay.
I mean, I can see. I'm not even white, and I use all those phrases. All lives matter. I mean, that's just a truism. All our lives matter, guys. Don't forget it.
So how do you support Gaza? So how do you feel about the issues happening in Gaza?
Oh no. You want to get into? What do you
I mean,
mean?
that's a simple yes or no. And does that include immigrant children? Do their lives also matter to you?
Oh yeah. Good point. Yep. All lives matter. But then again,
Okay.
what about the lives of the insects and unborn babies? So now we're gonna have to decide what's a life.
Fetus
And
deletus
if we
out the
say all
way.
lives matter, then what about killing, the criminal to save the lives of innocents? So I guess that's a little bit.
James,
Oh,
please
okay,
say
bad
Say,
man.
unalive.
don't
Oh,
say,
sorry, I
don't
forgot.
say that K word. Say
Sorry,
unalive.
sorry. That POC only got here by affirmative action. That's definitely unfortunate and offensive to say, but I do see it as one of the downsides of affirmative action is it's going to cause people to have those thoughts, even if they're unfair. That's about it for bingo. So yeah. Oh, sorry.
Are you black?
No. White.
So you think affirmative action benefit who? Black people or white women?
Oh, definitely, Billy. Don't get me started. I think the white women are the biggest beneficiaries. And when they put like quotas in now, it's like, oh, half the board has to be diverse, and they always find some. Oh well, white women, non-binary, whatever it is, they'll find a way. Or a guy will just become a girl. It's obviously, but that's another thing that's wrong with affirmative action. If you're allowed to treat people different based on their personal unchangeable stuff, you're not going to have a very fair system. That's part of the thing.
Oh, so you don't support?
I'm so curious. What is the unchangeable stuff?
Hold on.
Well, I
Did
guess
anyone
nothing's
catch what
unchangeable
he
now.
just said? Did anybody else catch that, or am I the? Because that's the whole reason I
No, you're
requested.
not the only one.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
'Cause do you support Project 2025 then? I should hear a loud no if you think
No,
that.
no, no. I think that's kind of like a made up. I mean, it's a real thing, but I think they're
I
trying to
still
make it sound like
wait.
more of a.
I ask you a question first, so I want to hear this. What is unchangeable stuff?
I was trying to think of a way to say like your, your race or gender, but pretty much everything's changeable now.
That's the comment I came up to address. What you started to say. You said
Right.
something about you
said
made a
non-binary.
comment in reference to
You made a-
transgender people is what you
You
did.
made a non-binary comment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's your issue?
I'm just saying, when
Just
you
spit it out. Don't play
people
around. Just spit it
people
out and say how
say
you feel.
people say, oh, well, you're against affirmative action. You know who that benefits? White women. And I go, yeah, it does. But then I also had the thought, you know what? I could get in on this if I want to be on the board, and they say, sorry, we're already, 6 people are straight white males. I'll say, okay, I'll identify as a female or a non-binary.
Because you think that's what transgender people do. They just wake up one day and decide they want to identify as
No,
someone
I was just
opposite of
correcting
the sex
myself
that they were
because when you
assigned.
said white women, I just said, well, there's a
No,
lot
I
of white
think that you
women.
were making, to be quite honest with you, I think you were trying to make an underhanded comment towards
He
transgender
is.
people.
I don't know why he's
That's
acting all
what you were
innocent.
trying to do, sir.
I'm just
He's
saying,
acting
affirmative
all
Do not
action
think it
quotas.
flew over anybody's head. Do not for one second
All right.
think that it flew over anybody's head. We all see your transphobia. Your mask slipped or you pulled it off, but we see it.
It ain't slip. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing because he's acting all different because he had all this smoke in the comments, and now he up here. He's like, I just want to stay calm, cool, and
That's why I didn't want to come
collected.
up.
That's why you
It's
didn't want
hard.
to
It's
come
hard to
up
talk
and
to
get out of our
everyone.
spaces.
I know
I'm
because
sorry.
you want to defend your white supremacist talking point, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Okay, so don't be scared. Don't be scared. But let me
Okay. Well, I mean, but okay. Let's see. What
excuse
are
me.
these other mango things I think might be reasonable?
Hold on. As a trans man myself, I didn't wake up and say, "Oh, I want to be a trans man." I knew when I was 5 years old that I was in the wrong body. So for you to sit up here and say, "Oops, if I want to get a better job, I'll just become a trans woman." That's not how it works, bro.
No, you're right. I think what I meant to say was, it's like, a lot of the affirmative action, it's like checking a box, and who's going to verify? Like, I don't know what if I, for my next job application, now they ask you your race and your gender, and maybe I'll just check whatever because no one's
Sir,
going to
do you
verify if this is a
understand
real thing or
that?
not.
Just so that you're aware, because I'm not sure if you understand this or not. All right. First of all, affirmative action no longer exists. Okay. When it did exist, it helped white women more than anybody else. That's number one. Number two, all affirmative action did was ensure that qualified people got the jobs instead of just any old Joe Smo getting the job. Because what used to happen is your dad or your brother or your sister or your mother or your neighbor or your teacher would refer you to go to a job interview, and you would just get the job because they know you or somebody knows you or something, and because you're white, you just get the job whether you're qualified or not, and most times people weren't. And with affirmative action, all that did was ensure that qualified people got the jobs, not just any old random white man, but qualified people. And affirmative action is no longer around.
Hey, Granny, that's just for colleges.
Yeah,
Affirmative
it's
action in workplace
Yeah.
is still here.
And maybe even like, is it just public colleges? But it's affirmative action's still here, and it's very. But I
But the
understand that's
point
the intention.
is, it's making sure that qualified people get the jobs. Qualified instead of
There's nothing.
unqualified.
There's no qualified prong
Right, we have a new guest, just so
And
you
that
know.
if black people were getting in, they didn't get it on their merits. They got it on because of
Correct.
affirmative action, and that is a complete, totally fabrication of a lie.
They got their jobs through the good old boy network. Word of
Right.
mouth.
Exactly.
But why don't he say this? And I'm sorry, A Banks. Why doesn't he say this? Why all these CEOs are white team men that got it on nepotism and all that? That they only have a high school diploma and they are in these high paid jobs, these positions. Why don't you go after those type
Well,
of
I mean, that's tougher to do affirmative action for in a lot of ways because a lot of these people were entrepreneurs and they don't really need the degree and they don't go through the the traditional HR. Here's the hiring process. Let's have a
No,
evenly
sir.
distributed
You totally
workforce.
ignore what I just said.
Deny.
Oh no, I'll tell you the
You totally
reason.
ignore what I said. These CEOs will come in nepotism, friends, and they will have black people who should have these CEO jobs, train them, and then they go and get the job, and they're over those.
Listen, I consider that
I know
affirmative
the
action.
impulse is just not working there. So the black people who should have these CEO jobs wind up training these same white tea people, and they are over the black people who actually trained them, taught them different things about being a CEO. So why don't you talk about all these white tea men who are in positions, white tea women who are in position because they come from friends, nepotism, family members, or just because they're
That's the word I was
white
looking
tea?
for.
Right, I want to hold the
That's true, and like even in
conversation.
the college context, now that they're making
What'd you say, so
unconstitutional.
melanated?
Shut up.
What'd you say?
I said I
Sorry.
want to table the conversation because I want to hear from Libertarian real quick because of what she
Yes.
said in the comments.
Yeah, I see color every day. I don't see race. Please elaborate.
No, like I said in the comments, I see color every day. You know, I see your grandma or somebody's grandma's skin turn to gray as she's dying or offing naturally in the life process. I see the color red every day. I mean, I work in the ER too. And so it's not just, I see color every day.
You said I don't see race.
Yeah, I don't see race. I don't.
Silver Taco.
No worries. I just want her to. Can you? Is that mine? Is that my echo?
No.
Okay. You might need to scroll out of the app real quick and come back in.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll drop down and do the whole thing that TikTok does.
Okay. And then come back up.
While they're doing that, if I could, is it okay if I kind of address that a little bit? Melanated?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to wait? I just, personally for me, I think that that's a cop-out. I also worked in a hospital. I was a hospital social worker for quite a while. And if one of my coworkers would have told me that they don't, see race, but that they see color, they see the graying skin and the blood and this and that and the other thing, I probably would have reported their ass. Because quite frankly, they should see color. They should see color and they should recognize it. And they should absolutely be recognizing the disparities that happen in the medical system. They should absolutely be keeping an eye on what's going on with every one of their OB patients, specifically the Black OB patients, because they die at much higher rates, unalive, at much higher rates than their white counterparts. Right? So for someone to come up here and say that is a cop-out, in my opinion.
You're totally right. She had it backwards. She should see race and not color because the color has nothing to do with medical treatment, but race could be actually important.
In what way, James? What way is race important in the medical field?
I think that certain people might have higher rates of different stuff.
Oh Lord,
I'm not an expert. I won't get into it.
So James, what if I told you that that's a white supremacist talking point?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
But how does that
I
make sense?
that someone that would a white supremacist would point to like you know biological differences to try to say people are different.
So the idea that race is biological
Well, yeah. Well, this is
is
what's
false.
difficult for me
That's
to
no,
do.
please.
I think I'm being woke by saying, oh
James,
yeah, take
James.
note that this person is this race
Hey,
because they might
James.
be less
No,
treated.
James. You're speaking white supremacist talking points right now. Please let me
Listen to what
explain
Silver's saying real quick.
because
Thanks.
you're missing it. Please stop. I promise I'll let you speak when I'm done. Race is not biological. That principle is a white supremacist principle and not founded in reality. When we look at what you just said as race being biological, that is the white supremacist ideology called race realism. And the white supremacists have put that in our books, in our medical books, in our education books since the beginning of time. It's the idea that based on your race, you cannot have that the Black community, their brain functions differently. So they cannot have as high an intellect as somebody from the white community. Now, while there can be one-offs, because white supremacists always like to talk about Barack Obama or, whomever has made it in the Black community. But what it's saying is, as a whole, the Black community biologically cannot be have a higher intellect than the white community. There's also the misconception that the Black community is more aggressive, that they have thicker skin, that they're more animal, closer to animal in nature, that they can take more damage, harder hits, higher amounts of pain, which is why we see the outcome when we look at maternal mortality in the United States. It's why Black women unalive 3 times higher than white women because of the lie that you just spoke. And so you right now, sitting here with us, believe a white supremacist point. And that point is harmful to an entire community and based in nothing but lies.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I thought that because I was figuring that's what the talking point was about. You gotta represent, if you have better representation, that's causes less, mortality if you're like have more racial representation in hospitals. But I guess I see the difference.
And it doesn't matter.
But and by the way, white people have a much higher suicide rate than Black people.
Womp womp. Shut up.
Womp womp.
It's not even what we were talking about.
Well, I mean, it's just something she mentioned. I just wanted to correct her.
It's not anything that she mentioned hard of
So
hearing.
you didn't, I didn't say anything about unalivings.
Nothing about unaliving.
Yeah.
Hang on, can somebody drop to make space?
Ducks needs to drop because Duck can drop.
You can drop
How
me
do
if
I
you
need to
need.
drop? I haven't been able to speak.
No, I want you to stay.
Yeah,
don't
I
need to
trade
speak.
places with. Oh,
But I mean, if I can come back up later, that's fine.
Oh yeah, of
now you're
course.
talking normally. That's weird. Bye, Duck.
Somebody fill her in on what I was doing,
Duck
please.
is a friendly.
Oh.
He was
Thanks just
he was,
needs to be
he was
dropped.
playing earlier.
She's so toxic and annoying.
Oh, you do want a cookie pookie now that you're back after
Wait,
you
No,
changed
you're
your
just
Who
profile
just
there
said
picture and your
being
that?
voice
Wait,
changed?
wait,
and sad.
wait.
Shut up.
Who just called her
That's A.
toxic?
That's the one that left to change his
Hey,
picture.
that took 10 million years to find another picture.
It took forever
The
to find
one
this
that
live,
no.
actually.
So, but are you going to turn your camera?
I
Didn't they
can't.
ask you
I
to
don't
turn your
have. I
camera
tried.
on?
It didn't work for some reason.
How many followers
Well,
do you
that
need
one's
for
up to you
Kim?
guys
And
then. I
also,
don't. I'm not a.
how dare you call me an AI?
He doesn't
because
have
you're
enough
ugly and
followers to turn his
insecure.
camera on.
You called me an AI because you could never compare to me and you're ugly.
Oh my god, his insults
Yeah.
are so
I don't think
elementary.
that
Stay
is
ugly.
appropriate, and I'm
Bye.
not sure if melanated is here or not. So I think that, and unless
Can
we're positive that
Bye,
melanated is
A.
here
can I
to
ask A
wash
how
their
he?
panel, we should have
James,
waited
Bye,
till
why do you
then.
feel
A.
the need to overtalk women?
Sorry.
Mute.
Bye, A.
Okay, that's better.
Anyways,
What were you
let's
saying,
see.
Grammy?
I was just saying that I wasn't sure if you were here or not, and I just wanted to make sure there was no name, because there was some name calling, and I didn't want that to occur when you weren't here, because I didn't know what your boundaries were. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't like that. but I would love for A Banks to respond before I do anything.
Okay. I forgot what we were talking about anyway. What's it called? James. What'd you say? Oh, yeah, no. Again, what she said was like race has nothing to do with the medical at all. Even if it comes, because she did not even mention suicide, but that's what y'all like to do. This is again an example of selective confusion, and you know that in your big age. So you brought up a random statistic that has nothing to do with us or this conversation, and y'all like to insert yourselves into spaces y'all don't belong in order to keep pushing your agenda. Because again, like I said, when you were in those comments, you were talking all this smack, but then up here you want to act like, oh, I'm so innocent, I'm trying to learn. You're not trying to learn. I pretty promise you're not, and I don't know why you're pretending to. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But before we even go to A, I am very interested now that Libertarian's back to explain why she don't see color and she don't see race. Or sorry, she does see color and she doesn't see race. Oh my gosh. Oh, Mom.
I think libertarians still have that echo and they're trying to deal with that. So, James, do you understand what maternal mortality rate is?
Yeah, no, I for some reason, I guess I thought she was talking about. No, I understand it, which is
Okay.
why it's difficult to kind of take race into account for things like that where there's discrepancies, but don't make the mistake of doing what I guess I said and saying, oh well, your treatment or whatever varies based on.
Right. And so you were trying to ask because she was saying you thought that the point was that because race is biological, we do have to see race, right? That was
Yeah.
kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah, she said like, oh, I only see skin color. I see like shades of color, but not race. And I'm like, is that backwards? Like the color, unless you're like, I
She
don't
was
really think the
saying that
color
she
matters.
sees what she was saying, James, is that she sees color but not race. And when she was talking about seeing color, she was talking about seeing like red blood, gray skin of a dying patient, those colors.
Oh,
That's what she
I
was saying,
get it.
invalidating and ignoring
Yeah.
people's race.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the toughest one actually for people like, in all seriousness, the toughest one to swallow for the white kind of liberals, and believe it or not, that's kind of what I am, is saying, oh, I can't say I don't see color, because they've tried, even if subconsciously they can't, they've
Trained
tried
is a
to
good word.
convince themselves to say that they don't. And, they probably consciously make an effort to, I'm not going to treat anyone different. I'm not going to, and I think they have success doing it. So all their hard work is thrown out the window and you say, no, you got to take it into account, and they get all mad about that.
Let me ask you a question real quick, James. How old are you?
I'm 34.
How old?
34.
34 or 24?
34. I'm actually older than you'd think.
So you're right about my kid's age. My kid, how old is she, Tony? 32. My kid's 32. So my guess is, right, that your parents probably did the same thing that I did. And it's something that I now regret. And everybody here has heard me talk about it, and everybody knows why. But I was young when I had my kids. So when my kid and I graduated at the same time, right? She graduated high school at the same time I graduated with my bachelor's degree. So by the time I even started educating myself about race and racial issues and racial topics, I damn near had a full-fledged teenager on my hand, right? And I don't know what you know about teenagers, but getting them to listen to anything their parents say is difficult, especially when what their parents are trying to tell them is different than what their parents had spent the last, 12 years teaching them, right? And I did the work of telling her, be nice to everybody, treat everybody equally, treat everybody fairly. If somebody's picking on somebody, you stand up for them. I did all of that. And I don't regret that part. The part that I do regret is the fact that I did not prepare her for the world. I did not prepare for her for the fact that society treats people differently. No matter what she does, society treats people differently, and I didn't prepare her for that. right? And I think that's where a lot of parents my age, between my age and boomer age, maybe even a little younger than me, a big mistake that we made because, I speak with my grandkids about these topics. My youngest grandkid is 2, kind of hard to talk to him, but I do talk to the 6-year-old and the 7-year-old and the 12-year-old. And we'd have these conversations. And that's something I wish I had done with her from an earlier age, because ignoring color doesn't help at all.
Yeah. I in the generation that's kind of mine, we were raised by well, at least where I'm from, like kind of liberal parents that lived through, or at least had parents that kind of went through the real civil rights when there was real institutional, like, you know what I mean. And it's so we were kind of raised thinking, like you said, oh, just don't even take it into account. Everyone's the same. Don't. It's
James, I have a
very,
quick
very
question
bad.
for you, sir.
Yeah.
Just something off the top of my head. Do you believe that the racism right now is better than it was during civil rights or before? Because I just saw you kind of trip over your own words about like the real racism. I'm just curious,
I mean, like, obviously, by any metric, if any survey, any result you get, anything, like every single metric, things are opinions and actual. Yeah, of course it's much better. We literally had a black
Can I
president.
ask you that? How do
Can
you
I
know,
also,
James? How do you know it's better?
yeah, can we also clock how he just said that his white tea parents went through civil rights? Like, hello?
Because I bet if you were to
mean,
ask the people on this panel, they'd tell you it's not better.
He did say
well, I think that's
it had to be.
silly.
Hold up. He said, and I don't think y'all caught that. He said that it has gotten better is because we had a black president.
Around giving you all them gray hairs.
Exactly. Like, what?
Y'all didn't catch that one. Like,
I did not catch that.
It was 7 presidents before George Washington that happened to be all Caucasian, all white tea.
Mm-hmm.
All before Obama came along, all was white tea. Obama and the backlash from Obama, we got the dumbest one. White tea. So at this point, just because we received, that's like telling black folks, and I bet you he have said it plenty of time. It has gotten better because it's 16 billion billionaires who happen to be black, and 10 of them live, I know he doesn't know that, but 10 of them live in America. Well, those 16 billionaires represent all of black 14.4% of the population. Right, James? Right?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about racism. But even if you look at inequality, I mean, you'll see it's a lot different than it was in the 60s. Come on.
So what?
And that's the general views that people have. If you get,
there's an amazing book. There's an amazing book called The New Jim Crow.
Totally ignored what I just said.
Exactly. He's going to keep doing that all night.
I'm just trying to comprehend. He said, no, I'm not talking about racism. Well, I just said that I bet you think because we have 16 black billionaires that it is doing great in the United States. They represent the whole 14.4% of the population of black people, right? Right, James?
I mean, I think the number of billionaires is probably one metric, but I'm talking about racist beliefs, which have gone down.
Y'all heard that. So I'll meet you again. Y'all get that? What type of mentality y'all this person have? You get it? He thinks it is, even though he knows he's white tea, he want to speak for the black population and say, "Hey, we gave you a president. Hey,
exactly.
You got shit."
I told him to ask you guys, but I don't think he even bothered. Did he? I told him to ask you guys what you think, but he didn't even bother.
That's the point. I've been sitting back listening. He doesn't care because what it is, and then he brought up the 50s and 60s. Now, 50 and 60s.
This is what I was saying earlier about arrogance.
Last time I checked, the last time last time I checked, the 50s and the 60s when Jim Crow was going on, wasn't it? So how, okay, like y'all can have this, but I will not waste my education on something like this.
So James, have you happened to read the new Jim Crow?
No, I haven't.
So go. It's really inexpensive. It's like $12 on Amazon. You can get it cheaper if it's used. After you read that, you'll realize that it has not, and this is written by a black person, but it has not gone away at all. It's just morphed. It's a lot more of covert racism than overt racism. In 1970, redlining was illegal. Yet the Department of Justice from 2021 to 2023 found over $180 million worth of redlining between the top 6 banks, still to this day. Right now in 2024, Navy Federal is under fire for literally having practices against the black community that has served our country. It's still here. It's our privilege as white people to not see it, right? And you just need to understand that it's just turned into a different thing. Like, we don't have hoods anymore. You see things in Tennessee where they wouldn't wear face masks to keep everybody alive during COVID, but now you see all these patriots out there with face masks on, right?
Like a bunch of rare.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's just changed, and people are still being unalived, strange fruit in the South. We still have many sundown towns where people can't go through. It's all still here. It just doesn't affect you. So it must be all right.
Yeah, I can't speak for the South. I'm from the Northeast, so I guess I can see it.
There's just as much racism up north and in New England, and from Connecticut to Buffalo, New York, all the way down here to Baltimore, Maryland. It's still here. But it shows up in wonderful things like food deserts in black communities.
Yeah.
He does not care, y'all. Why are we still entertaining him? He does not care. He is here to push his one agenda, and that's it. He does not care. He is not absorbing. He's going to invalidate us all night. I'm bored. James, speak with your whole chest. We know you want to say the N-word. We know you want to come to the cookout. Come on, just say it with your whole chest, like you were saying in the comments, because you're acting all
it's not
so
being
sweet and
invited
dandy.
to the cookout that's causing the racism.
You want to so bad. You want to so bad. I just say it to say the N-word with
It's
your
the
whole
white
chest.
fragility. It's the white fragility. That's what the problem is. White men specifically are so freaking fragile that they can't even spit words out of their mouths half the time.
Exactly. He's talking about sundown towns, and it's not really up here up north. Yes, it is.
James, go to
Minnesota.
justice.tougaloo.edu and there's an interactive map of America's sundown towns. Justice.tougaloo, TOUGALOO, justice.tougaloo.edu, interactive map of America's sundown towns. It'll blow your mind.
Or Google the Green Book, the Green Travel Book.
I know the Green Book.
No, you don't.
That's Oscar-winning movie, guys. Best
No,
picture.
it's interactive and it's kept up to date. I forget what version of it is.
Wait, Tougaloo? Oh, I found it.
His brother,
I'll put it in the chat.
Yes. Tougaloo. Yeah, Tougaloo College. At the very least, you have to admit that if they put up a Barack Obama for presidential candidate in 1963, he would have lost because there wouldn't be enough people in the country that would get over their racism and pull the lever.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So isn't that an indication of something the very least?
No, it's not.
No.
But you know what? No. Let me cook him. How do you think Martin Luther King was viewed back in the day? You know, he was a pretty respectable man. pastor, son, things like that. How do you think they viewed him back in the day? Like, what was his position in America at that time?
He had a lot of supporters and a lot of detractors. I don't think you could. I mean, I know for a fact that white people. That's when I was talking about civil rights times. White people were many were very involved in it, and many weren't. But now you've got the people that would admit to racist beliefs. Maybe in the survey they're not
You're getting
gonna.
a little bit lost. Anyway, pause.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason why I brought that up is because one, he was the most hated man in America. He was. That is a known fact. Even his daughter confirmed that. He was not loved by all and seen by all. He was the number one most hated man. Correct. Who do you think Obama was? He was also the number one most hated man in America at the time.
No, that's true.
So,
but
no,
it wasn't as
very
bad as
true.
we thought.
It is, because
People were really like, "Oh my gosh, what's going to
It's
happen?"
more closeted these days. Just because it's more closeted and not as open as you might think, even though we have cases of lynchings, modern day lynchings, or we have modern day huntings, I should say, or with the police brutality, which I know you'll probably deny that too, because I'm sure you, along with your All Lives Matter, you'll probably think Blue Lives Matter too. Yeah, it still happens today. So just because it's more closeted doesn't mean it's not as or more extreme. They just figured out ways to get away with it, either where it becomes either legally or by employment, or it becomes gentrification, all of that. But it's still prevalent and just as bad as it is today. Because where did they go? Where did those people go? You think they just woke up one day and stopped being racist? Because they didn't. The 70s was not that long ago.
Yeah,
The 70s was not that long ago. Yes, exactly.
I was born in 75, to be clear. I was born in 1975.
Exactly. No, it wasn't that
It was
long
not
ago.
that long ago at all.
And those are the people that are
73.
in corporations, that are in our government, that are in power, who have set these systems in place. So where exactly has it gone, except in the closet? It's still very much the same, if not more. Oh, I'm so sorry if this is boring you, James. Did you have a problem? Yeah. Speak with your chest like you were in these comments.
Comfortability. He's uncomfortable.
And where did A go? Come back up here, Pookie, because I ain't done with you either. And
I
I'm
have
tamed.
questions
You're
for
in.
A. I think we can figure out A.
Figure out a what?
I want
Go
to
ahead,
figure
white
out A's
savior.
background. I think we can ask a couple questions.
That's not for you
That's
as
literally not what I
as a
said.
white man to ask any questions.
Well, he's a white man.
Well, he didn't. Did he say he was a white man? Because I'm pretty sure his picture is a black man. And I'm pretty sure he said he was a black man.
He did.
No,
So
that's the one.
the black
That's the
people
one
on
who
the
changed
panel
the
will address
profile.
that, James.
He's
not
got an
you.
AI photo. I'm
James.
looking at the sundown town map. Some of these are kind of silly.
James.
Exactly. Deny, deny, deny. That's all you'll
Well,
do.
I
Oh my
mean,
God.
James. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
You
He's
have a
joking.
whole source. You have a whole source. And
I'm
you're still
looking
gonna
at it.
deny it.
I'm
You're still
looking
gonna
at it. I'm
deny
looking
based
at
off
it.
of what? Based off
They
of
have
what?
this you submit your comments and it goes Madison, Connecticut. I was like, oh, what's this Madison? Madison, Connecticut is a shore town. CT residents familiar with the area believe the town may have excluded Jewish people. What does that mean? What are they
So
talking
do you know
about?
what a
There's no.
sundown town is then? That's a qualification.
Do you know what a sundown town is, James?
No.
Clearly not.
Restrictive covenants. You ever heard of that?
Go ahead and
That's
tell
what
us
the
what,
Jewish
what
thing
you
is.
think.
When they would restrict the
Tony,
Jews, it was restrictive
scared us.
covenants.
He has a whole smartphone and a whole computer in front of him. And
Yeah,
he's
no, I'm
still
looking
asking
at
us
it.
to educate us.
No. I'm looking at
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
You should do that before you join a panel.
But
Educate yourself.
but these things are all illegal, aren't they? I don't understand.
No.
How is this allowed?
That doesn't mean it still doesn't happen.
That's the whole point.
Unaliving is illegal, and it happens every day. What does illegal or unillegal have anything to do about it? Especially
Right,
if it's
like y'all Lord
if,
and
it, if
Savior
it's perpetrated by the people who hold the law. That's even worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, like in Northeast Florida, there's Nassau County, and there's an island called Amelia Island in Nassau County, where they still have an active plantation where you can go and rent a B&B and a slave marriage.
Ducks, you're breaking up. You're breaking up big time. Now you have one bar.
And I love how I'm Tank is trying to doing what they usually do and try to take away the conversation and try to flip it on us, but it just doesn't work because he talked about like mass pew pewings. Honey, that is all for you sour cream citizens. Y'all
Yeah,
dominate that sport.
majority of mass poo-pooers are like a massive majority. Massive.
Massive.
Yeah,
Massive.
but
Like
you can't go by majority. You got
99.94%
to
or
go by per
something
capita.
are
Even by
young
any
white
statistic.
men.
Per capita. Why is it these white supremacists always talking about per capita?
I don't know, but I'm going to
Exactly. They
explain
still
something about
dominate.
research. You cannot look at the raw numbers. That is not how research works. In order to compare two things, you have to make them both 100, right? So that you compare parts of the whole. So if there's 4,000 white people and 8,000 black people, you have to make it to where they're both 100% and then make comparisons. You never look at the raw data. You always look at those percentages. And when you go and you look at those percentages, and if I need to go pull it up, I will, and you look at those FBI crime stat data tables that everybody likes to talk so much about, and you scroll down and you just look at black people and white people, and you look at the percentages, the thing that's going to rock your mind is that white people, out of those like 40 categories or something that they collect information on, white people top all but 3 of those categories. And one of those categories, it's so close that my guess is if you were to run a statistical analysis on it, you would find that it's not even a statistically significant difference. So really, it's only 2 categories, and white people top all the rest of them. But for some reason, white people never want to talk about those other 37 categories.
I
Why
would
is that?
argue, I would also argue that for the ones that they do quote unquote dominate, if we go back and look at that year's exonerations, then those numbers would actually show that it's YT people that lead in those categories as well.
We also have to understand that because the FBI's database is on arrests, that the numbers are actually skewed in favor of the white people, especially during mass pew-pews, because the people who commit unaliving via police officer during a mass pew-pew do not get counted in this, but the victims still do, right? So like we have, like out of the 600 and something mass pew-pews in 2023, over 400 of them were deemed white, and they are no longer with us. So those 400 mass pewers aren't even on that list when that list comes out for 2023. So like we're getting it's almost like a curve for white people.
Correct.
So you think that like per capita white people commit as much violent crime?
We don't think we know.
More.
All right. I guess all right.
Especially when we look at who leads in harm against children. If you can break down the meaning, because I would really like to just say the words to drive them home. When we look at especially harm to children, when we know that it's under 3 where the majority of that harm happens. And it's that per capita, it's white men that commit the majority of that. It's white men that commit per capita the most harm to
So
women.
we know the rates for those, but we don't know the rates for the other crimes.
We do, because
Interesting.
when we look at those, like I said, we can look at the fact that on the other end, there are no exonerations for these, or the exonerations, the black community, like I said, has upwards of like 53 to 54% of the exonerations yearly. And so when we look at those things, when we can step out a few years after these have been committed and look at all of that, we do understand that.
And you can also see the stats in predominantly white areas in the like the Midwest and the mountain range or the mountain states, where like statistically there's just no BIPOC folks, but yet like the crime is still there. The drug usage and drug related crimes are still there. It's almost like the same thing happens no matter what vacuum you're in.
Right, like, can we just, like, literally talk about serial people?
Seriously,
Like,
he's not looking at anything.
I'm looking at sundown towns.
Right.
Planning my
but you're
next
denying
vacation.
what's in front of your face for
It's like the
some
Peanuts.
reason.
It's like the Peanuts gang teacher talking.
The peanut gallery.
Oh God, I know. I didn't say that.
It's just so funny. Again, like, they come on our panels and they're like, no, you guys need to do this and you need to do that and you need to follow what I'm saying, even though I'm very well ill-informed and don't know anything and having to research as I go because of what, like, that is the most prominent example of privilege, because you don't need to know to care, because you have to live your happy sour cream citizen life and you get to just not care about these topics, but yet you think also entitlement too, that you can come into these spaces and tell us what to do. And that's wild, but also not unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a big thing between kind of the free speech types and the like more sensitive kind of language types, and that's something that gets a lot of the white kids in an uproar. They're like, oh, free speech absolutists, and part of it is also
Wait,
that
what?
The
You know,
best
free
part about
speech
free
includes your sensitive talking or whatever you're trying to say. That is also
Right.
included. What?
I'm trying to.
Free speech does not cover hate speech. Free speech is not
Right.
freedom of consequences.
Right.
So if I
Yeah.
ever see you in the baby,
Right, I agree.
promise.
And it
But you know,
also doesn't apply in these spaces. You'll see people like get muted. Like if we
Oh, of
started
course.
muting you, and then
Yeah,
you're
you're-
gonna start
yeah.
screaming,
I
oh,
have no
free
right.
speech,
You know,
I
I
should
have
be
no
able
right
to
to
speak
be here.
freely.
No, I understand.
Right? And what people don't get is their free speech goes on their platform. On other people's platform, nobody owes them squat. Nobody owes them squat.
Yeah.
Some help with some research here, because I just found some stats, because we're looking at, someone was asking about 2024, and the stats that I'm looking at for mass situations for schools K through 12, it shows that no black people have committed one. That
There
it's 81% white, 6% Latinx, and 13% Native American.
And you know what else is crazy
Say
about
none.
that statistic? We just had Pew Pew here in Texas at the Chick-fil-A, and it was 2 workers that unfortunately like got unalived. But like the dude that did it, before they even confirmed where he was from or whatever, obviously he was brown skinted, which is very rare over here. But still, they were like, oh my God, see, this is where we need to fix the problem. The problem was at the borders. The problem was, and I said, is it really, Pookies? Because we have more domestic terrorism than we do at the border or even them coming over here. So let's look at that. But the fact that they try to like not paint themselves as a bad guy and they try to backtrack so much is so common. And I'm so tired of it. And I will always speak with my whole chest. Like, I remember I got in a whole community fight on Facebook defending people because I'm like, girl, like, where is the lie? The statistics are there. These things did happen. I can name 5 mass pew pewers. You can't even name 2 black pew pewers. Please.
Because there aren't any.
They're not.
There aren't
We
any.
mind
There
our
aren't
business.
any.
We
Well,
mind our business.
it depends how you define it.
No.
No.
mass.
When you
School
define it
mass
as
pew pewers, no.
No.
School mass pew pewers,
oh,
no.
school, yeah, you're
Yeah,
probably
that's
right.
what we're talking about.
I don't know.
We
That
also
is
have to remember
fragile,
that
young, cis, het,
It's
white
probably
men.
like one of the few ones that they're overrepresented.
So
have-
let me, if
James,
I may, because
James, there are fewer there are fewer black mass unalivers than there are Jewish Hall of Fame athletes. Okay, and that's a small number, my man.
I'd like to
No,
talk
I don't get any
about.
laughs on that. All right, never mind. That's fine.
Good
That's
job.
funny shit. Sorry. See, you think you're gonna offend, but you're not. You can laugh at that. All right, I'm out. Thanks.
So let's talk about how our young white men are being geared up and given manifestos and told kind of how to do these situations, because there's entire playbooks out there online, and
Well,
I'm not done because this
sorry,
is
I'm really
something.
excited to jump in.
Yeah, I understand that, but this is something I do on 4chan. I do in a lot of video game spaces. I talk to young white men like this because as a white mother with 3 white sons, I was very moved to want to make sure that my children were not recruited into one of these groups, because when I was in the military, we learned that these white supremacist groups were the domestic tea groups in the United States and how they do that. And so when I go into these spaces and I see this rhetoric being pushed about how oppressed these poor young white boys are, and they begin to groom them to make them ready, or they begin to blackmail them. One of the ways they blackmail these young children is by pretending to be underage girls and messaging them and showing them pictures of themselves and getting them to send pictures of themselves in return. And once they do, they're then blackmailed. They're blackmailed for money. If they don't have the money, a lot of times the younger kids are asked to do different sexual things. But for the kind of military age, maybe even a little younger, 16 to 25-year-old men, they begin to groom them into red pill indoctrination and that type of stuff. And then once they get pulled into that, if they're feeling particularly self-deleting, they ask them to, if you're going to do that, go do this thing for the cause. And so they will go take one of the manifestos from these organizations and then go and do these things. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the dangers of white supremacy, especially with our children.
What can help play into that is the culture where you say the only group that you can kind of publicly shit on are straight white men, and the boys, they absorb that. You know, everyone go, oh, these old white men, straight white men, and it doesn't seem like a big thing. Oh well, whatever. These are the guys running the world. These are those racist guys. But if
But
you're a white kid
James,
sitting there, you absorb it, and it makes you easier to fall sway for that, and that's the
but
truth, and
James,
that's why it's not helpful.
do you understand what's really not helpful is when white men like you sit on a TikTok panel and say things like, I'm looking at the next sundown town to plan my vacation. It's
Right.
jokes like
Because
that make things like
All right. Well,
what
you
these
know,
boys are doing.
I'm sure, you know, right, talking about male monkeys that don't know how to clean their ass all day is totally kosher, but
Well,
you
I'm
can't
sure
say
if,
make a.
if it bothers you, James, then wash your ass. I mean, the reality is that when, you know, white people came here, when they first got here to this land, they did not wash their asses. They
At
had to be
all.
taught by the native people how to wash their damn asses. They were lucky if they took a shower twice a year. That's educational purposes TikTok. Can we get some F1s and hashtag we love the TikTok shop in the chat?
All right, can we
Now,
I want to hear from Red.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me up, Melanated. What Saint just broke down, I want to say is precise. That was brilliant, Saint. That is exactly what's being seen in media fandoms right now, particularly sci-fi fandoms. There's an entire YT supremacy movement within sci-fi fandoms to recruit disaffected young men, right? And they disguise it as, oh, you know, it's this whole woke thing and, you know, and all this stuff. But what you broke down, Saint, is precisely what we see going on in fandoms, and also, believe it or not, within the Wiccan community. There's a lot of and they're coming in on the guise of Norse paganism. That's all neo-Schnazi stuff. So I just wanted to add that.
Wait,
That's
what?
why it's important that we educate our kids when they're young, right? Just like with, sex ed or anything else, right? If you start drilling it in their heads when they're young, wear your seatbelt, brush your teeth, all of these things, if you start drilling it in their heads, there's groups of people out there that are going to come after you. They're going to try and feed you bullcrap. Here's the truth. Be mindful. Watch out for them. Don't buy what they're selling. Like, if we can do that ahead of time, before they come to the young white males and present them with this information, then hopefully the young white males will be able to say, nah, no thanks. Know who's talking, but you're cutting out. Was it ducked? I couldn't tell because I couldn't hear very good. But they're cutting out.
I was just saying, in the South, we have a
You're cutting out.
saying called that is truly affecting you emotionally. Look inward and figure out why that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's kind of easy, and I'm not going to say that I'm one of these people, but I think that if
You
you're a
are.
young YT kid and you feel like you're constantly being singled out for things you don't even understand, you're a kick dog, and you're emotionally going to be easier to have some guy say, "Hey, are you sick of these people saying these things about you, saying you don't
Yeah,
even know
but
how to wash your ass?" And then it's
feeling,
just common
I think
sense.
the point that Duct is making is that if you're feeling hit by it, you should ask yourself why. Jabber doesn't feel hit by it. Duck doesn't feel hit by it. You should ask yourself why you feel hit by it. And I can assure you that a lot of young white men that I know don't feel hit by it. Like, my grandson is young, and we have these discussions. He's 12, and he knows to watch out. He knows these people are out there. He knows that he is their prime target. And he also knows that his other friends are not as educated as he is. And he also knows that because of that, he has to look out, because his other white friends, they don't know. So he's got to look out for all of them, right? He's got to educate his friends. He's got to share the information, the knowledge that he has with his white friends. That's his job.
Addie.
Oh my gosh. Let me address somebody in the
But it's
comments.
not done to impress anybody. You do it because it just needs to be done. It's actually something that you shouldn't even have to talk to black people about.
It's funny.
That's what I
that you were
discovered a
talking
couple
about
of
the
years in. I was
sci-fi
like, oh
thing,
yeah,
and
this is. They don't want to hear it. They don't need to, but they have to deal with it every day. So they, as TJ said earlier, you got to be here. They have to be here all the time to deal with shit that we do. It's ridiculous. Hours and hours and hours and hours, exhausted. Because every time they're in our presence, we are a threat to them. I can say that and not lose any sense of myself whatsoever. I can fully embrace that and be, with my camera on, telling you to your face. There's nothing, you lose nothing from it. You have everything to gain. I'm not brainwashed.
I like that you
I
said
just
that,
read
Deborah.
a lot.
You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by being honest about reality. That's the truth. You have nothing to lose. You're not going to lose anything. Young white men are not being victimized. They're not being attacked, right? They're being educated, right? My grandson certainly wouldn't take anything that he's heard on this panel as an attack. He would take all of it as education, and he would have sat there and he would have been like, yes, I hear you, I'm listening, and not argued and like what Bob did earlier. Well, but I didn't know, and I didn't mean it, and Bro, like that's harmful. Anytime a non-black person is in the presence of black people, they have the ability to be harmful, specifically white people, to be very harmful.
Yes, ma'am. James, how many black friends do you have? Can you count them on one hand?
I used to have a lot more friends. Right now, I really barely have three black friends.
Oh.
Why do you say that so pitifully?
Because I'm just upset. Like when you get into your 30s, like I used to 20s and teens, I had so many friends and all different types, walks of life, and now it's like it's not the same. I don't have the diversity of life experience and friendships anymore.
No, maybe because they all got away from you.
Maybe they weren't really friends in the first place. They were just acquaintances.
I mean,
and your perception that they were friends, but if they were friends, you'd probably
right.
still,
But
unless
it's
something big happened.
it's partly why I know that just because I'm hearing this, it's not what everyone believes, because I know different types of people, and black people and other people, that have very different beliefs. And
Yeah, different black people based off of your 3 friends. Okay.
Well, no, I mean,
That's what
I was
getting
talking
ready to say, sir. Even if you do know other black people, that doesn't invalidate anyone here's opinion.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you can't just
I can't just what? Because I have a
you
very
can't just
diverse
say, oh,
friends
well,
group.
you're objectively. I don't know. Like all the things that like affirmative
Sir,
action.
you are feeling personally attacked, and you've got to stop.
Yeah.
That's why you're defending stuff so hardly right now.
I guess so.
You could stop hard. Damn it! I didn't even mean to do that. So hard, not hardly.
All the huffing and puffing for me. You need your CPAP, baby. You need your oxygen.
Right. I mean, and it's because, and listen, many of us understand it. We've been there, right? We've been there. It is uncomfortable. It's hard to wrap your head around the fact that you've been harmful to people, or that you could still potentially be harmful to people. It's uncomfortable. I get it.
What happened?
But trying to defend it, trying to make excuses for it, rather than just saying, oh, wow, is not the route to go.
What happened? What happened, babies? What happened?
It's so funny, Maybelline, because you were actually trolling on my live and your accent changed. So you're actually like not funny since why you have like no
Shut up,
followers.
you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Shut
That's
your
what I
ugly
thought.
ass
Yeah,
up
good.
with your
Okay,
store bought
I
heavy
don't
ass
think the
braids.
host
Your
wants that
braids are
kind of
fat,
stuff to
Can't get
ugly,
out
big
on
fat,
on
ugly,
stage.
fat,
here.
turkey black
So funny,
bitch.
Maybelline. Exactly.
Listen.
Go ahead and get her out
Yeah,
of here.
no, we're not doing
Bye.
that.
She's a troll.
The host doesn't want that kind of stuff on here, y'all.
That's why I called her out before she even started her stuff.
Freedom beat me to it. I had my finger ready.
Anyway.
Yes, but please share it to your problematic friends.
Yeah, share it to your 3 black friends, please.
Like, yeah, no, some of the ones that I've remained friends with are, like they're not exactly, American black, and what they say is like I definitely push back on some of what they say.
Oh, and I'm sure for anybody outside of our country, right? It's hard to imagine what people outside of our country think of us. Just to begin with, right?
Yeah.
They have this notion that America is so great, but then they also know that we're kind of off our.
Well, they say we're obsessed with race, and that's kind of what this
We
kind
are.
of maybe plays into. Well, it's true, but yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
gotta
what they
point
say.
something out really quick.
That's
So
not
in the
what they
beginning of
say.
this
They actually don't
live,
like Republicans at
I
all.
don't.
hang
Yeah,
on
I
a
don't.
second. Hang on a
I
second.
don't understand.
So in the beginning of this live, I said that I haven't been called the N-word lately. Well, Maybelline just did it in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Is
I
Maybelline
think
a
she was
white
talking to
person?
me.
Because
Yeah.
I was not sure.
No, she's been in my live before. So that's why she kept trying to insert herself in the conversation. and that's why I stopped her before she even started because I knew she was gonna say some racy stuff, and that's exactly why. So, yep,
You
I
did
don't know
good.
what they are. I'm pretty sure they are white tea, because their accent goes in and out. But yes, I knew about that
Well,
one.
I mean, when you're a troll, you're a troll. You're a troll. Like,
Yeah.
like literally, I picture the people behind the troll accounts as, like, what was that fairy tale with the bridge and the trolls? Billy, something about Billy Goats, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember, but anyway, that's what I picture is like, like from where the is it? No, yeah, I can picture the cartoon monsters.
Let's get rid of James. It's sundown, James. Bye-bye. Boring. You're
Here we
boring.
go. We got another one.
You're not even convincing.
Oh, that's her backup account watch. I'm just fine.
Oh. Why would I share this live?
It's the trolling for me. Yeah.
What troll?
I think y'all trolls need to go to acting class or whatever because the lying is like really bad. I just want you to know the
I'm
acting
not
is not
lying.
good. I
Shut your
didn't say
fat
you
black
were.
ass, you dumb nigger bitch. Come on to Africa, you dumb
We
face like
shared the
asshole.
live. We asked everybody to share the live to their most problematic friends.
Did
So
y'all
it
hear this thing?
could have been for that reason, maybe. I
No,
don't know.
get her out of here.
was?
Get her out of here because she just said some racist
Shut up,
stuff.
nigger.
Bye.
Go pick
That's what I thought. Bye.
up the fat black bitch. Go on the treadmill. How about
Bye.
this? Say bye to a salad. You need some?
They really think that, like, I mean, I don't know if people think that, like, everybody's gonna, like, clutch their pearls and be like, oh my god,
Yeah, you need to block them before they
they
report
said a
y'all.
bad word, they said a racist word. But, like, if you think everybody up here hasn't heard those words, like,
Right. I'm like,
you're
be
gonna have to
original
try
at
harder.
least. Be
Try
at least
harder.
original, like something like like because sometimes people do join the panel, obviously so racist, but sometimes they kind of eat, and I'll be like, okay, he kind of ate with that, but nobody has yet to eat. Like, so I have yet to be served. Like, try harder, bro. They regurgitate the same stuff over and over again. They have nothing new to say. That's why we have this thing called a bingo card on this panel right now. That's why we need to also add Vikings on here because they'll talk about Vikings. And the fact that she sounded like a black girl was also very alarming, but it's cool. Whatever. I hope she learns one day that they not like us. They not like us. Period. But anyway, Jabber was hilarious because he was like, James, it's sundown, you gotta go.
That was really good.
That's it. You gotta flip that shit.
Why? That was good. Like my husband, Jabber, every once in a while he says something, like he doesn't do it often, right? It's like every 2 months maybe. He says something that is just so hysterical that we will then perpetuate it for like we still have this running joke 20 years later about your hat's on fire because he made a funny joke about a guy with flames on his hat one day.
Oh my goodness.
That's great. Well, I'm a lot more than every couple of months.
We'll be using it sundown.
Unlike every other man.
We'll use that more often.
Right. Yeah, oh, definitely. You can use that going forward.
Does anyone else problematic want to join the panel? That
Oh,
has
gosh.
any opposition?
My friends would never do it.
Right, I'm really waiting on James's 3 black friends to come. Cause how did I guess? Cause y'all clocked what I said. That can you count
Oh,
on
God.
one hand?
How can we get?
did.
You don't want to hear from the ones I'm thinking of. They're like Haitian and Nigerian, and they just will say the most racist things.
Oh, that's why they're your
That's
friends.
why they're
You
your
just outed
friends.
yourself.
Yeah,
You just
that's
outed yourself. Oh, that's
There's
not
probably
funny, but
truth
you're
to
laughing.
that.
Ew, that's gross. That's why you're a
Ugh.
Republican, brother.
I don't even
Anyway,
use cringe. I'm too old, but that was cringe.
brother. Right, like he really thought he ate with
That was
He like,
gross.
my
Not
friends
too
are
old to
racist
say
here
cringe,
with me.
Jack.
Oh, man, my friends say the most racist shit, man.
He's like, LOL. Oh my goodness.
Your picture looks like you just heard one of those and didn't want anybody to see you laughing. Like, I'm not associated with those guys. That's what your profile
Right, he
picture
was
looks.
constipated. That's what
You
he looks
just
like.
heard a racist joke and you're trying to distance yourself from your friend that said it.
You gotta if anyone says anything like that anywhere kind of public, You just gotta be very silent. You just don't look. You don't acknowledge it.
No,
Oh,
I'm gonna
Jesus.
acknowledge it and I'm gonna
Shut
call you
up,
out
bro.
because that's what you're supposed to do. Hold each other accountable. You don't hold anybody accountable with silence, and that's how we know exactly
I'm
what kind of
afraid
person you are.
I'd do the wrong thing. I'd say like, oh yeah, it's
No,
very
you
important we have
don't.
diversity
No,
because
you
of
don't.
biological
You
differences,
You're a
don't
and then
do
I'll
the
just
turd.
right
get
thing. You don't
canceled.
do the right thing. Just be for real. You just proudly said that your friends are openly racist, and you thought that you like fucking A with that you deserved a medal for that. You don't do anything. Go by.
Yeah.
You thought,
Sad,
wow,
sad man.
sad AF. You really thought that we weren't gonna catch that? Yeah, you're just like the rest of them. See you on the other side of the fence because it's sundown. The street lights are on, James. You gotta go.
I heard that black people cannot be racist. I'm very confused.
No, we can't be
Okay, well,
racist.
after all this time, go look it up. Go Google it.
Yeah, James.
I
I
learned
think
on TikTok
James.
that they
I think
can't be racist.
Correct. We
it's
can't.
been fairly well established. You're the sandbag on this nation. The reason why this country can't join the 21st century is because of you.
Exactly.
That simple. It's that simple.
Clock it. Yeah, no, we can't be racist. You're right. I don't know why you again thought you ate with that, but no, we can't be racist. So
Because the friends I was talking about were black, the ones that were
yeah, but
racist.
you said that they were racist. You said they say
All
racist
right,
things
so
and you
they said
laughed.
words that would be considered racist if they had a different color skin.
Correct, because who created racism? Who created the
Oh,
system?
yes, Your Honor.
I'll wait. Who has the power to oppress others? I'll wait. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Were you here earlier? Were you not here
Uh-huh.
earlier when I went over the the hierarchy?
I
No,
don't think he was.
I don't think I learned that. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, James. What if I told you that there's okay, James. What if I told you there was no such thing as a white slur? What would you think?
I mean, there are, but I guess you're saying they're not really effective, and I'd agree. They don't.
So he asked.
That said,
Is there-
I think if someone called me one of those, and I was an environment when I was like surrounded, like it would give me the same effect. I feel like I was in a sundown town in Lovecraft County. I'd be like, so I think that in the right context, you could call me a white slur, and I'd be like, oh my god.
So that like you can't be in like a sundown town because you're still here. That's the difference. I still don't think you understand what a sundown town is.
I mean like a version, like the opposite of the sundown town. If I was in some area that
Okay,
was
so what
predominantly black, and they
exactly?
said, "Hey, get the
You're
honk,"
talking
I'd be
about
like, "Oh my god."
So you're talking about a sundown hood. That's what you're talking about. This is the new talking point that we're seeing on TikTok, where people are talking about, sundown ghettos and sundown hoods. Chicago is a sundown hood.
Hang on a second. Grammy, could you send me those?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Chicago's. That's not what that is.
Right, like again, this is how they always want
Oh,
to deflect
man.
on us, bro.
Bro, that ain't it. No, that's not. No.
At all. Like y'all love to deflect back on us. We were still talking about you. Like for once. Like y'all want to be oppressed so bad. Like what is it? There
A
is no white
sundown
slur.
town,
That's
young
just
man,
white privilege.
is white people telling black people, don't let the sun go down on you, comma, N-word.
Mm-hmm.
First legally for a couple of 100 years. Then when a little bit of a legal thing here, just make it illegal in 15 other ways. Yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I just lost my train of thought. What was
If
it?
anyone
Yeah.
actually,
So that's
if
wait,
anyone in
and
this
then
day and age
it's
said
so
that,
that it was codified into law for a couple of 100 years, and then when it couldn't be codified into law, they would just do it de facto, meaning that's what it was. That's what was happening. They would just do it without any kind of repercussions. And they would get nothing in the courts, no support, if they even made it out alive. So if you did a 23andMe test and you found out that happened to one of your ancestors, James.
Come on.
And you knew that it happened millions of times.
Sorry.
To millions of other people. Because of the color of your skin. In this hierarchical power structure that simply grades on the basis of skin color. I mean, and that you know every day when you wake up, it's perpetuated in a multitude of ways in every aspect of your life. Every single day. And you know that that's what it was like for them. Even worse. How would you feel?
Hi, my name is James. I'm just gonna deny everything that just was said and just try to deflect on another topic.
Hey, James,
Yeah,
I hear you like to make racist jokes.
I did make one off color joke. They told me that I was looking at sundown towns.
What exactly is a color joke?
I said, yeah, I'm looking for my next vacation.
No, we're talking about in another live yesterday.
That off color, I think is what he said, like an off color joke.
Is that me? I came on
Yes,
here because
you.
someone told me to. I don't think so.
Was he here yesterday?
Was that?
No,
I
he
don't.
made it in he did it in another live.
Oh.
What?
Anyway,
I just
back
don't
to
know what you're.
Jabber's
What joke
question.
did you tell, James? What was the joke you told?
I have no
Or don't
idea.
tell the joke. Never mind.
I don't think it was me.
The punchline was under their boots or in a book.
Under their
You
boots.
remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell
I
it.
quoted the Chris Rock joke. That's a Chris Rock joke.
Don't tell it. Don't tell it. In
I
fact,
can't tell
never
it.
tell it
I
again.
only referred to it. I can't tell that joke.
Don't even refer to it anymore.
Sorry.
Just get it
It's
out
true.
of your mind, your head.
No,
Any
it's
thoughts
true.
you
Even
have.
yeah.
That's why I said he wanted to say
That
the
was
N-word
wrong.
so bad.
That was wrong. But in fairness, it's like this is how it goes. You know, I'm scrolling through the thing, and then I got a guy yelling racist stuff.
I just
There's
want
no
to point
fairness,
out,
bro.
James, you
Stop.
said that was wrong, but that was wrong, but I don't
I
care.
sunk.
That was
when
wrong.
he went low, I went
but I'm
lower.
still gonna
I'm
do
sorry.
it. That was wrong, but I don't really mean what I'm saying right now.
Exactly.
And that was the free space. I'm not racist, but
there you go. Oh, let me go
You
dot
got the
that.
bingo. We finally got the bingo from me.
Again, not a flex. Again, like it's not something to be cheerful
I mean,
of.
come on. That guy was on a space, and he spent about 6 minutes saying every slur he could think of. And I know you can't actually slur a white person, but it did actually start to get to me. So I definitely appreciate what it feels like, you know, even
what
if it
did he
isn't.
do? Did he
Why
You
call
don't
you
know
white
what it
sheep?
feels like.
Uh,
You have no clue
it
what it
didn't
feels
feel
like.
good.
Know what it feels like.
What did
You've
he call
never
you, white
had,
sheep?
James, you've never had actual, real slurs hurled at you. You do not and will not ever know what that is like. And even in the event that for some reason you have had racial slurs hurled at you, it's not the same because you won't internalize them the same way. It is not, will not ever be the same. No
they
one
literally
can
are
be
not.
racist.
I did kind of
Can be
internalize
racist to
it
white people,
because.
James. And no matter
Sorry.
what they call you, it is never ever going to have the same impact as the words that are used against black people.
It may not have the same
James, I
impact,
have
but
a
it have some
question.
impact.
James, I
Womp
have a
womp.
question. It's a yes or no question. All right. So, did they call you a tub of Hellmann's?
I think that was one of them. There was definitely a lot of mayonnaise involved. He went off for a long. I mean, I'm talking about the TikTok guy. In real life, I've had a couple, but the TikTok guy had this like kind of funny skit where a routine, and he went through everything I've ever heard, and there was a lot of
What about
mayonnaise involved and a lot of caves involved.
What about Miracle Whip?
There was definitely Miracle Whip involved.
Yeah, but see how it's funny to you? You just told on yourself.
I
You
know,
don't
I know,
understand what happened.
I know. It's not the same. I agree.
I'm getting pissed off.
Don't get pissed. He's trolling this whole time. We're giving him such airtime, but he doesn't care. Like he's not gonna take this
Well, let's
panel or
not
take it
forget.
anywhere else,
Let's not
friend.
forget. I was just kind of listening, and I came
You
on
weren't just
against my better
listening. You
judgment.
were no, you weren't
I
just
did comment.
listening. You
I'm
were
sorry.
talking all
So
that smack.
I
You
manned
were
up and
talking
I
all
came
that
on, and I'm
smack
trying my
in the
best.
comments, and then I called
I'm
you out and I
sorry.
brought you up here. Don't even
I
act
know.
stupid. I brought
All
you
right,
up
all right,
here
fine.
because
You're
you
right.
wanted
You're
this
right.
smoke. Clearly,
I
clearly
know.
you
I
wanted
know.
it because you were
I
typing.
did.
I know
I
you
wanted.
did, AJ. Because you needed somebody to hold your hand and hold somebody's pocket for you to come up here instead of speaking with your whole chest as an
I
uneducated,
know. I know.
racist man. Yeah,
I
sour
didn't.
cream citizen, speak. Please speak, sour
I
cream
know.
citizen. Yeah, I
I
know.
know.
Yeah, I
I know.
know. Oh my god, I just want to cry
See?
because my boot fits. Because I'm a big old racist man. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna go to bed in my big old racist bed, and I'm gonna wake up as a sour cream citizen and be like, oh my god, here's the day again. Who's gonna oppress me? Oh wait, nobody, because I'm white tea. Exactly. So, James, what is your actual purpose here other than to keep spewing nonsense and denying everything that we're trying to tell you? Have you even learned anything this whole time? You can huff and puff again all you want because
I
clearly you
learned.
need your oxygen
No,
taken.
I've learned. I've learned. I've learned a lot. Yeah,
Okay,
like
so
yesterday, I was
summarize
in a
what you learned.
space and it was kind of entertaining. And then one of the guys.
Right, I'm gonna restart the live. I'll be back in 10. So if you're not following me, go ahead and do that now.
Okay.
Okay.